D-Rod Pod.
Okay. Yeah, we're recording now. Okay. So before we get into the top 10, though, the intros, hi, my name is Petie, and I have my co-host here.
Derek, what's up, everyone?
That was a long pause. Okay.
I thought you were going to... Whatever.
No, it's okay. Anyway, but before we get into the top 10, though, my question to you earlier was, do you feel like 2024 was a bad year for movies? Like, is a lot of the talk on the internet?
I don't think so. I'll be honest. I'll have to look at 2023 movies again. But I feel like the movies that are at the top of my list resonated with me more than I think a lot of 2023 movies. And I think a lot of that is that 2023 movies had, I think, the big tentpole stuff. Like what, Barbie and Oppenheimer?
Yeah, Barbie, Oppenheimer.
Did Avatar? Yeah. Did Avatar come out that year?
No.
A year before.
That was... Avatar was a year before that. I think it was 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, I think 2023 had a lot more big blockbuster stuff. And I still think that there are the effects of, like, I think the COVID stuff and the streaming and the state of the industry stuff is kind of weird. It's kind of rippled out to 2024. So I don't think those big movies exist this year around. Maybe I could stand corrected, but I like this year. This year was pretty darn good.
I agree. I was looking back at my list, and I thought that there were a lot of very good movies that came out in 2024. I think I listed out of like the 80 that I saw, like new releases. I think I had 40-ish that I thought were like worth noting. You know, like I had like a little list of like my favorite movies of the year. So if I could note at least 40 out of the 80, I want to say that's a pretty good year, I would think, you know? And then even my honorable mentions, like I struggled to like only limit it to 10, you know, I had to do 20. I struggle to see why people are saying that, I guess. I guess it's because maybe I thought we had a lot of blockbusters this year too, I thought, but.
I would need to think more. What are some of the big ones of?
Like Sonic, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Big, like holy cow. Well, you know what?
Deadpool and Wolverine was a big one. That was like $1 billion movie, wasn't it?
I guess my idea of big is like, again, my corner of the internet, because those movies made a lot of money.
They did, but they sucked.
You're not wrong. Well, sure, yeah.
They're entertaining enough in the moment.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, you're like, I don't know. It doesn't take root in your brain.
That's the thing. I think, again, some of these 2024 movies definitely stuck in my brain. I still think about them, even months after.
Absolutely.
Or weeks after. I still think about them. So I would say it's a good year.
Yeah, and then, you know what? I guess, like, why delay it? You know, let's just get into it. Let's start with your number 10, which is my number 9, Sasquatch Sunset.
Pretty good. You know what? I remember we watched this with friends. You know what? Our friends were 50-50. Some of it liked it, some of them didn't.
I know Jose was
online. Online, people were like, "This movie is terrible." Like we're walking out the theater and booing along the way.
I heard about that. Like the festival that it showed at. I can't remember which one, but yeah, like a bunch of people walked out.
It was a bummer. It's very sad because again, maybe I should see it again. But my gut reaction was that it was a good time. I enjoyed it. Maybe there are some movies, I think even on this list that people brought up of like, oh, this is an okay movie, but it would have been better as a short. You know, it kind of overstays its welcome. I could kind of see that. And I mean, God, just look at the ratings on, I haven't seen this. The ratings on Letterboxd are at 2.8. I don't think it deserves that.
For Sasquatch?
For Sasquatch, yeah.
Is it really?
Too low.
2.8. Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, pretty rough. But again, I think this movie takes some swings. It doesn't quite land every now and then. But it's like largely almost like a silent film. Well, not silent film, but it's like zero dialogue.
Yeah, no, there's almost
following this family of Sasquatches living in the woods, and this almost like this odyssey of theirs and their struggles, day-to-day life that I liked. And you know what? Some of the humor is a little juvenile. There's like the hee farts.
I wouldn't say a little.
There's a lot of that.
I would say the movie is most certainly juvenile. Or I guess how you could look at it. Primal might be a better word to use, you know, maybe. But yeah, I think that's what a lot of people walked out on, at least from what I remember reading, was like, there's too much shitting and pissing and fucking. Like, this movie is stupid. You know, this is a stupid movie. Why am I going to watch this? And then they just walk out.
For sure. And again, that's my opinion right now, like right out of 2024 into 2025. It takes the number 10 spot. And I'll add a caveat. I haven't seen... There are a few other 2024 movies that I have not seen. And so if I were to, I could totally see myself knocking Sasquatch off the list.
Boo!
those other movies. I can see it. I'm just being honest.
No, yeah.
That's what happened to the TV Glow. I remember it was at number 10, and then I watched one more movie. I'm like, okay, you haven't made the cut. But
Nope.
still, again, Sasquatch, good time. I'm sad not that many other people liked it as much as I did. Is what it is. But yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Like a lot of this movie hasn't been getting any buzz almost at all. You know, like I haven't really seen any YouTube reviews about it or Instagram or Twitter posts. Like I don't know. I feel like nobody's really talking about this movie. Considering, like, I had this thought literally last night. I was writing like a little mini review for it, and I was like, it's strange to think that the main character of a Sasquatch movie is Elvis's eldest grandchild. Like, and then essentially like Mark Zuckerberg, / Jesse Eisenberg. Like it's just like on paper, it's bizarre. Like one of the last living Elvis family members. I think she owns the estate in Graceland, like the estate of Graceland. I think she does. Since her mother's passing, I think she technically owns it now. So it's hers. So she is like, I guess, like top of the Elvis living food chain, I guess now. And she's running around in the woods playing Bigfoot.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's kind of what I appreciate about the movie. Again, this is not just me giving credit just because it's doing weird things. But like genuinely, I appreciate the movie because it took some swings. It did some stuff that I don't see that many other movies go for, and I think it did it in a pretty good way. And I've been seeing more even from Jesse Eisenberg. I think he's been kind of experimenting.
Yeah,
I think some recent films have been kind of like in the weird realm of film, independent movies. Not his most recent one. What's it?
What is it? A real pain or something?
A road trip movie.
Is it called A Real Pain? I forget what it's called.
Something like that, yeah, which seemed pretty good. I think word of mouth is super strong, and I think once word of mouth hit that this movie was freaking lame, a lot of people immediately dismissed it. Didn't even give it a shot, which I can't blame. It's like there's just so much media out there to consume that if you hear like a whiff of something not being great, you're probably just going to use your time for something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I understand, but like again, if you have the time and you like movies, at least give it a shot.
I think I wrote down in my notes. I think this is one of those movies that, regardless of word of mouth, right? I feel like this is one of those movies that you can't sell to somebody because you're either into a movie about Bigfoot or you're not. You know what I mean? Like,
sure, you either got the monkey brain or you don't. Right?
Exactly. It's like
either about it or you're not.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this movie's about a family of Bigfoot. And they're just like wandering around in like these misty mountains for like almost 2 hours, and you're like, that sounds stupid, and I don't like that. Or you're like, that sounds fucking rad. I'm into it, which we are. That's why we watched it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just one of those movies. You're either about it or you're not. Plus, I at the end of the day, you also kind of know what you're getting into just by the title, alone. But yeah, overall, I think Sasquatch Sunset deserves a spot on the list, at least right now. Like you said, I missed some movies too. So, but at least on my personal list, I had a number 9. You had a number 10, I believe, right?
Yeah. What's your number 10? What is your?
Mine 10, was. I know you and I are going to disagree on having this movie on the list. Like to begin with is
a lot. I think a lot of movies on this list, or a few.
We have how many underlying? How many not underlying?
Overlapping. 1, 2, 3.
Just 3, right? Yeah.
3 overlap. Oh, 4. 4 overlaps.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mine is Love Lies Bleeding by Rose Glass. Yeah, my number 10. I saw this movie as a movie that was very similar to the likes of Nicholas Winding Refn's like Drive, but like a good time. You know what I mean? It was like a good pulpy thriller for me. Is it like a little? I don't want to call it like. I struggle to call it sexy because it's disgusting. It's grimy and dirty and gross. So I guess I'll go with the word horny. Like it's a very horny movie, and it's not for everybody. It's a very horny thriller. I enjoyed it. I liked where the movie goes. I know you. Well, we'll get to how you feel about it, but I liked the hiding the body stuff and the fighting like this kingpin guy who likes eating bugs. I don't know. I was into it, but yeah, I think it's my number 10, so I enjoyed it enough to put in my top 10. Yeah. So I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
It's been a little while since I've seen it, but I remember my gut reaction is that I wish the movie just went in different places. I think I'll just put it like that. I don't know how much of spoilers we're going to go into.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that. You know what? I feel like
I think I could keep it less. No
Spoiler
spoilers.
less? Can we do
Spoiler-
spoiler light?
Spoiler light. Okay.
I think
Well,
from now on we'll do spoiler light. Just
Yes.
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 Not full
That's what
blown,
I'm
but like just a little, like a little
Yeah,
taste.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think most of my criticisms, I think kind of, I'll keep them within like the first act of the movie. It feels like the movie, again, I like the aesthetics. I think it's fun. I think it's kind of doing a fun mashup, like what you're saying. A lot of fun pulp action stuff. I guess
Yeah.
I'll just put it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I like the world, I like the setting. I think the acting is pretty good. I think one of the lead actresses I think this was like her first major role, I think. She who did the bodybuilding.
Yes, I think her first major like leading role. I think so. She
Yeah.
plays more supporting. I think she was in like a Star Wars series, like was it The Mandalorian or something
okay.
like that. And then she did Twisters, obviously. She's done other stuff, but I think leading role. I think this is her first one. Maybe I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I think everyone all around, Ed Harris. I mean,
Oh my god,
badass.
the guy,
I mean,
yeah,
the guy.
he's
Yeah.
a freak.
I think on the surface, there's cool stuff aesthetically, but then once I get into the meat and potatoes of the movie, I was just kind of left empty-handed. I don't know. Again, like the centerpiece of the movie. Once you hit like the end of Act 1, and you're hitting what the movie is about, the major conflict, it's like, I don't know if I care as much about this. There's a lot set up of like arms smuggling and drug use and the FBI and this and everything and hiding bodies, and it's like, oh, that sounds cool. But then I felt like the movie was using other things as kind of like a crutch, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
This movie felt like it was going to be unexpected, but I think it ended up being pretty expected, I guess. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it wasn't 100% for me. I could see people liking it though.
I ironically, now that I'm hearing your thoughts on it, I think it's on this list as well as another movie on the list, Cuckoo. I think that they have a lot in common. now that I'm heard your thoughts on it, where you're like, it sets up a lot of things, but are they really, fully explored or utilized, or used as a crutch, perhaps? Like, yes. But I guess similar to Cuckoo, I feel as though this movie has like a lot of shit going on, but I guess at its core, it's just like a family drama.
Sure. Yeah. And I might maybe we're jumping ahead a little bit, but I think I like Cuckoo more.
Than
I
Love
think I
Lies
like
Bleeding?
Cuckoo more than Love Lies Bleeding. I think so.
Yeah.
Even though I
do too.
eat up the crime drama stuff, I eat up.
Oh, the setting.
Maybe that's another part of it.
Yeah.
Maybe me going into Love Lies Bleeding, I have high expectations of that genre because I love the genre. And then when it didn't meet those expectations, I was left dissatisfied. Maybe that's a part of it. And I could see that.
The setting is great though. The setting for Love Lies Bleeding, like that small rural. It almost feels like they're like in the desert, right? It's like almost like Western feeling, like American
there's a
Gothic.
bit of, I think they go to Vegas at one point. Is that right?
Yeah, they go to Vegas. Yeah.
So that's what's your number 9?
Oh,
Number 10. We discussed your 10. Your number 9 is also Sasquatch Sunset, which we already discussed.
Which means that yours is gonna break my heart. Yeah. that's what this means. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It made it to the top 10, which is Longlegs at number 9.
Boo.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It made it to the top 10, so that's good enough.
No joke, and it's not number 10. It's actually it's at least one slot higher, so that's respectable.
There you go. So you don't totally hate me. Yeah. I see. I think it is a cool time. It's another thing again where I went in with high expectations. I like Silence of the Lambs. I like those horror thrillers, and I like the director's previous stuff too. I think he does some cool stuff.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's a good director.
Yeah, but then I think the movie, I think it's at the halfway point where it just started to lose me.
Because it gets crazier and crazier.
A bit, yeah. And I think the aesthetics were lost on me. What the movie was going for, I don't know. Some people said it was trying too hard, which is it reduces, I guess, a bit. But I could kind of see that. I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's a good time. I think it is scary. I did find the movie unsettling. But then once I hear the director also talk of like, oh, I don't take that stuff seriously. I don't take the esotericism and the spooky alchemy stuff or hermeticism stuff seriously. I think all the religion stuff is bunk anyways. And once I hear him say that, once I hear that, I'm like, oh, I could tell in the movie. I could tell. Which is disappointing because if you're going to do a whole movie on that subject matter, I would kind of like to see you, I don't know, play into it. I guess if you're going to do a movie on a subject, I feel like you should kind of take it a little bit more seriously. But then again, That's just me. Again, I walked into this movie with certain expectations, liking the genre and all that. It didn't match up to it. I wasn't crazy about it, but that's just me.
And I don't think you're wrong in anything that you said, because some of those aspects are why I liked it.
Sure.
Yeah, so for me, on my list, I actually have it as my number one spot. I have it on my number one spot.
Wow.
And can I be honest with you? If you asked me, like, right now, in this present moment, what my number one spot is, I would probably move my number two up, but I'm jumping ahead, right? For Longlegs, the reason why I have it as my number one, though, is because I have not watched any other movie in 2024 as much as I had Longlegs. Like I had seen Longlegs, like I swear to you, like 5 or 6 times in like 1 year.
I remember this.
I watched it a lot because that first time I saw it in the theater, because I even from the marketing, I was one of those people that was sold by the marketing. Like
Me too.
Like a year ahead of time, it was like some really, really weird like teaser trailer I remember seeing in the theater, and I think there was like no title card. It was like just some weird trailer of like cryptic messages and weird imagery, and I was like, whatever that is looks fucking rad. I don't know what that is, but I want to watch it. And then eventually more trailers started coming out, and I was like, oh, Nicolas Cage is in this bitch. Like, what's happening? And Michael Monroe, like, what's going on?
Go.
And then sitting in that theater the first time I saw it, I was so immersed in that theater. Like it was one of those like back, the theaters in the back of the theater where it's smaller and the speakers are closer and the sound is a little better. And I was just immersed, yeah. And I could tell even from that first viewing that this movie feels like it rewards. Yeah, it does feel special, yeah. And I like a movie that rewards multiple watches, right? And that is a bias of mine because really a movie should not require multiple watches to fully enjoy, in my opinion. No movie should require that,
I agree.
But I like that at the same time. I like that shit. That's why Tenet fucking rocks. But yeah, for Longlegs, I liked that it kind of felt like a puzzle box a little bit, Like I want to say that Longlegs, like a lot of people saw Longlegs. It was actually like, was it the most successful indie movie, I guess, next to Substance?
Yeah, I know it was big. I know it was huge.
Yeah, it made like $100+ million for like the small budget that it had, which is amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people saw it, so I can maybe dance around spoilers a little bit more. But yeah, it just feels like there's like a puzzle box to it all, I guess. And more details align themselves, and character motivations make a lot more sense, and the way characters say and do things makes way more sense the more you watch the movie, and it's very, very, very cool. However, again, that's just a thing that I really like. I like rewatching movies and noticing details and all that shit. On its own.
I remember.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I watched the movie once, and you were like, "Dude, you got to watch it another time." Because I think at this point you had to watch it like 4 times. I think.
I was like,
and I was like, "You got to watch it again. You got to watch it again." I'm like, "Okay, fine. I'll do it one more time." And I watched it, I think, over Discord, which, granted, is not the best viewing environment.
No.
But again, I had already seen the movie, so I was like, oh, I'll watch it again over Discord. And I felt like I kind of walked away with the same feeling.
Boo!
I'll be honest.
It's okay.
Because, again, there's no boo me. That's fine. Do it.
All right, boo, yeah. Fucking
yeah,
boo.
I don't care.
Number one, baby. Watch it 6 times.
Yeah. I did feel like I watched it once. I got the movie. I watched the movie again. I might have like gotten like a few % more of the movie, but I still felt like I got the gist.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Yeah, I could see again. I'm gonna have this discussion of like, I'm sure in every single shot of the movie, there's like a little hidden message. There's a little hidden this and that.
Yes, the visuals are
I
very
can totally
cool.
see that.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, cool. It still doesn't change much for me.
Yeah, and I guess to that same point, and this will be my last point on this movie, is just because there are little details scattered throughout it, right? And just because some things may gain like a different meaning, right? Because you understand little things here and there. At its core, I think you get it the first time, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you're necessarily missing a lot in the details, but I think what is there is pretty cool. And some people may put more value on that than others, like myself. But I agree. Yeah, it's at its core. It's just, especially with the ending, it kind of tells you what's happening. Even though I think it's very cool, mild spoilers, how they made an exposition scene tie into the narrative and character very, very viscerally, is what I would say. You know, and it's not just like characters sitting in a room saying a thing. It's like it's built into the narrative why this exposition scene is happening, which some people have issue with, myself included. It's like, even if it is kind of cool, it's like what I think it's doing within the script, in reality, it's like, well, you're just kind of, you know, dumping all this shit on me.
Sure.
But still, all in all, I'm a Longlegs lover. I understand why you don't like it, but whatever. We'll move on to then be number 8, which for you is Dune 2, I think, right? Is it Dune 2?
Dune 2.
Interesting. That it beat Long. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
You know what? I've shuffled this one around a little bit. I liked part 1. I don't know if I was quite as taken by it as a lot of other people. Especially on Letterboxd and all that. I think there's, again, a lot of discussion of like the setting in the world. And mind you, I love Blade Runner 2049. I think it's a great time. And again, similar world and immersive settings. But there's a little bit of like, I always felt like a little bit at distance with Dune. I think it just comes down to like the characters and their relationships to one another. I don't know if I could really empathize with their conflict in that setting, I guess. But it's cool. I think it's one of those like thought experiment movies of like, oh, what would a world look like if it existed on a world with this type of sun, this type of environment.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like I should maybe enjoy the movie. I think some people liked part 2 less than part 1, which I could kind of see. I at least appreciated the aspect that the main character had someone who tried to push him back and forth, which was the main love interest.
Zendaya.
Played by Zendaya.
Yeah.
Which I liked.
What was her name? I can't remember. I don't know. I
don't know.
That
I do that a lot. But still, I think Dune Part 2 is still a good-looking movie. I think it's a good time. Pretty hype at times. I know everyone gets hyped up by the worm stuff, riding the worm, which is pretty cool. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, I would say as like a cinematic experience, it fucking rocks. Like it
does. Yeah.
It's great. I would say for me, this is the blockbuster of the year, right? Like not Deadpool.
I see that. Yeah, I totally blanked
Sonic.
when I thought of blockbusters. I'll be honest. Maybe because again the emotional connection was like kind of lacking for me. I guess that's why I kind of forgot about the blockbuster element. But it is, yeah, I'd say this is the one. I guess so.
Yeah, I definitely think this is the blockbuster movie. And like you said, like for me, so I actually saw this at a midnight showing, like opening. I think it was like Thursday at midnight, like going into Friday. Because I wanted to watch Dune 2 so bad that I went to go watch this 3-hour movie at fucking midnight. And the theater was full. A lot of people wanted to do it too, apparently. It is a beautiful movie, unquestionably. And yeah, I do think it has some problems here and there. I think it does the job. You know, it reminded me of like your Bravehearts, you know, like your Gladiators, like those big epic tentpole movies, like your Avatars, but done, I want to say maybe the slightest bit more cerebral, you know, and artsy, I guess, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I think, it almost made it on my top 10 too, to be honest with you. I toured around with it. I think it was because I remember in the moment loving it, and then I think it didn't quite, like I think we mentioned earlier, like the saying of like it didn't take root. It didn't quite take root in my brain like I thought it was going to. Maybe it's because the story, because at its core it's just the chosen one doing the thing. Beating the bad guy, and you're like, I've seen this before, even if it's done in a marginally different way. It's still.
And again, I think a lot of the things that have stuck out to me with the movie aren't really the characters much at all. Again, it's the setting. It's the Harkonnens.
Yeah, the Harkonnens. Yeah,
the creepy people, their world, the infrared stuff.
Oh, that was sick. That was really cool.
Like just thinking about how these people would interact with the world and like their own communities and ways of speaking and traversing the land. That's how I kind of took my enjoyment for the movie, and I thought it was cool. I still think it's cool. There are those like weird elements of like raising the stakes. Like remember the nukes?
There was no need for that.
There's like, oh dude, we got a fucking cave full of this shit. You want to check it out? We could totally use it.
Yeah. By the way, I forgot to tell you, I got like 100 nukes in this hole in the ground over here. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I totally forgot. I maybe they set this up in the last movie,
maybe,
or
I don't remember.
Early part 2, I don't remember at all.
No, I don't.
And just hearing the word nuke. Do they use the word nuke?
I think they say nukes, yes.
Because hearing the word nuke also is like kind of, I don't know, it feels weird for this alien world. Maybe humans got like destruction down. Maybe we just know how to fuck shit up.
Well, I thought about that.
That it exists in this alternate universe where they're technology is advanced.
Yeah, it was because it's like, oh, we have these shields that can like block anything, all right? And then it's like, and we have these nukes. I'm like, what the fuck is
Bro,
happening?
I got this hydrogen bomb in my backyard.
Yeah,
let's do this.
I don't know, and don't get me wrong. You know what? Now that I think about it, did Dune 2 have a better nuke scene than Oppenheimer? This is the question.
Oh god. Here we go.
I think it did.
All right, gotta check up the YouTubes. Let's check out the YouTubes. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. But yeah, that was number 8.
Yeah,
Your
number 8. Mine is Strange Darling. Yeah, which
Your
I was
number 8. Kind of slaps. I did like this movie. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I was.
I was surprised how
confused.
much I liked it. I thought it was a great time. But tell me a little bit so watching it in the theater. Can you tell me about that experience? And also, there's like that little thing that they cut out of the movie, I think.
Yeah, strange. So
Strange.
Well, for what?
What
Okay,
am I
yeah,
saying?
no pun intended. I was gonna say this is a strange movie. Well, for one, before I get into that, I'm surprised that it didn't make it onto your list because I remember you saying good things about it. Yeah.
Maybe again, I might edit this list. I might kick. I don't know. Should I kick out Sasquatch live on air?
Live
Just
on
murder the
air.
Sasquatch?
Well, that's up to you. Like, do you in your heart feel like Strange Darling? Like, did you like it more? Not as a better movie, but did you like it more than Sasquatch?
Maybe. I mean, let's talk about it. Tell me about you going into the theater, your experience with it first watch.
So this was, again, this is a movie I had no idea what this even was. I saw a trailer for it, and I remember texting you. I'm like, look, another Love Struck movie, and it is not that. But from the trailers, it kind of seemed like it, and so I went into this movie completely blind, didn't know anything about it. I hadn't even heard if it was good or not. I just like remember thinking that trailer looked cool. Let's go watch this movie. And in the theater, there was, I want to say it was like 25% full. You know, there's at least like 15 people scattered around in the theater. The people behind us were maybe our age, and they kind of snickered and talked, like whispered throughout the movie, I would say. Yeah, it was kind of annoying. But the theater-going experience was pretty solid. Like, I think the crowd as a whole, they laughed when they needed to. They did the oohs and the ahs when asked of them as well. And overall, I really like the and I think this is a spoiler. I like again, light spoilers, the non-linear storytelling. I did like that. And for some people, it's weird because I saw online people are like, this movie is just pretentious. Like, why is it being told like this? Just tell it in order. And I was like, no, because then the movie...
No, idiot.
Yeah.
Don't you get it?
It is a little bit like, I'll be honest, I saw some critiques saying it's a little film student-y where it's like, you know, oh, what if I told it out of order? Wouldn't this make it so interesting? This is like, you know, like Pulp Fiction did this. Let me do it. You know, I can maybe see that.
Yeah, I feel like I like the movie. I didn't mind the non-linear stuff.
I think it added to it, if anything.
I think my inkling why they did it was that they just wanted, again, a lot of movies start with like the teaser of when things go wrong, and then let's jump back in time to give context.
Yeah,
you know, it wanted a bit of a stronger hook. Because I think if they were to tell it in a linear way, it would have taken like a little while before the thing happens, if you know what I mean. But still, I didn't mind the non-linear stuff. I kind of enjoyed the twists and turns. I think I was kind of doing a little bit of the stuff in Love Lies Bleeding, the pulpy...
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Shotgun action stuff and Midwest and whatever. And I enjoyed it. I think it's a good time. It's good thrills. I think you said this. Is this true? They were going to edit this movie chronologically, but then in the edit, they decided not to?
I think that's what's absolutely crazy. And I could get my sources wrong. My memory might be fucked, right? It could totally. But I'm pretty sure I read in an article that this movie was shot and initially edited in order. And the director was like, oh my God, this movie is boring. And so in the editing room, they decided to make it out of order with like title sequences and obviously editing. When you watch the movie, knowing that, you maybe can kind of feel that actually. But I think it just shows you the power of editing. If you can do that, if you can completely like rearrange your movie and the presentation of it completely changes just because you edited it a little differently, I think that's super cool. You know, I think the story itself, like the rollout of information takes it a whole new route because of the editing. And I think that's super cool. And yeah, like you said, the twists and turns are there for me. Also, it's got Kyle Gallagher. Gallagher? I don't know how to say his name. He's got a weird last name. But he's the shit, dude. Any movie that guy's in, I put on my watch list like right away. Like I'm like, oh, I gotta watch this movie because he's legit. I wrote in my little mini review for Strange Darling, and I don't know if you feel the same way. Probably not. But for me, you know how people are always saying like horror movies deserve more recognition. You know, they should be considered more for awards and stuff like that. You know, like with Hereditary, right? Or Toni Collette, or like Lupita Nyong'o in Us, or even this year with like what's his name? It's not Jude Law. What's his name? Is that his name? No, not Jude Law. The guy in Heretic. Hugh Grant.
Oh, yeah.
Him, or like Demi Moore. I mean, she's getting recognition, right, for The Substance. For me, I would think that performance is, I think her name is Willa Fitzgerald in Strange Darling. Like, for my money, hot take, I feel like this is that performance of this year. Like, out of all the horror movies that deserve some recognition, deserve some award contention, I think Willa Fitzgerald in Strange Darling is amazing. I think she gives like
I remember her being pretty good. No, I can see that. She did. I think she did a great job.
Yeah, like
again, it looked like a demanding role. It looked
yeah, she goes a lot of different places.
She goes to a lot of different places, and I commend her for it. I think she did a pretty good job. I saw it. You know, I saw it. That was pretty good.
And I guess last thing, at least for this movie, if I were to give out any more awards too, I don't give out awards or accolades. I don't have the notoriety to do that. But if I could, I would also give like best original song to Strange Darling. To be honest, like the soundtrack is great, but the song "Love Hurts" on the soundtrack, I think it's like the first song. Oh my god, it slaps so hard. I think it's the best original song because I went through all the original music. I listened to a lot of movie music like the last couple of days. Because I was like sick in bed, dying, and yeah, I think "Love Hurts" might be the best original song of this year. Hot take, maybe. If you listen to it, let me know. But I think it is. If I could give one more accolade to this movie, best actress, best original song, give it to Strange Darling. Hot take, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on before I look more stupid. Number 7.
Number 7.
Conclave.
Conclave. Oh my god.
I have not seen Conclave. I have not seen Conclave. I've only heard amazing things and some middling things, I guess, about the ending. But yeah, tell me about Conclave. Why it's number 7?
I don't remember. I think I watched this in a totally empty theater. I live a little far from society, not too far. But again, I sometimes watch movies when it's just totally dead, and this was one of those experiences. And I went in expecting kind of a slow, droning, kind of melodramatic drama about the selection of the Pope. When I was watching it, I'm like, oh, this is a lot more pulpy than I anticipated. There's a lot more drama, heightened drama and intrigue, and I need to backstab this guy. I need to hide this thing so he forgets it and then loses this thing or whatever. More of that than I had anticipated.
It's about popes, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's like, the beginning of the movie, the Pope dies. And then the rest of the movie is like the process of the selection of the next Pope.
And let me ask you, is this treated as reality, or is it like a heightened reality? Like, is it played straight?
It feels like it's taking bits of like the truth of like, here's what the voting process kind of looks like. Here's what it looks like when they don't select someone. There's the smoke, the white smoke in the Vatican.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. But beyond that, it feels like pretty fictionalized, which I kind of liked. Again, it felt more pulpy than I anticipated. A lot more like conspiracy and all that,
It didn't take away from, I guess, the subject matter of it all.
I could see some people saying that. Especially with the ending. I could see some people saying, "What the fuck? Come on, that's bullshit."
That's what I've heard.
And I'll say, it kind of is a little bit, but it's still a good time. Also, production-wise, beautiful looking movie.
Was it shot at the Vatican? ?
I didn't know this. The Vatican would not allow them to fucking shoot. They take one look at the script and be like, "You guys need to be beheaded. Get the fuck out of here."
Okay.
I didn't know this, but they recreated like parts of the Vatican just entirely. Like there's this like marble stairway, which I'm like, oh, this is real. And then behind the scenes, it's just wood painted properly and like proper veneer over it to give it that shine.
That movie magic, man, it's crazy.
It looks fantastic. I mean, you'd have me fooled, and I could totally see them using that set like again and again, movie after movie for anything that takes place in the Vatican. It looks fantastic.
Okay, wow.
Beautiful looking movie. Also, the performance is slap. Pretty good. I know Ray Fiennes.
Dude, he had a good year.
He also did The Return, about Odysseus returning, which I saw.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
He also I mean he's a super fun actor to watch.
Yeah, he's
I think
he's Voldemort. You know.
There you go,
That's,
Voldemort.
That's
yeah,
what I will always know him as.
Very, very fun. Also, in this movie, he does a pretty good job. I don't know if he's going to get Best Actor though for the Oscars. Maybe not, because I think he's one of those actors that's always been like
on the outskirts,
so close so far. You know.
Yeah, I think so.
Which who cares? He's cool. We all know him.
Well, we all know that he's a legit actor. I don't think anybody disputes the fact that he's an amazing actor. Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I had a great time with this movie. Visually, also a lot of the shots. I don't know what it is. Well, I guess just like the blocking and how they're composed, but how the small figures are positioned within the grand space of the Vatican, and how the figures, a lot of cameras would. Who said this? A director who wrote Taxi Driver.
My God, you could. I would never know, to be honest with you.
He directed Paul Schrader. My God.
Okay,
Paul Schrader. He directed the movie about the priest that we watched together.
First Reformed.
First Reformed. Yeah.
Yeah.
He also had a pretty glowing review of Conclave. At least on the visual end. A little bit. Yeah, I guess it's his Catholic upbringing, but still, what he said was pretty interesting about like how a lot of movies, if there's like a character entering through a doorway, they'll just like cut out the doorway aspect. Like, oh, a character's just automatically in a room. There's a lot of characters entering and exiting movie rooms, which I thought was pretty cool. And I think, again, it added to the aspect of like a character is in a grander space, something bigger than themselves. And they're all just like, again, like little pawns, you know? I thought it was really cool. Good time. I could see criticisms of it. There are some movies this year where it's like, oh, the whole movie goes hard, and then the ending does a thing. And I think this is one of those movies. But still, I think a pretty good time. You should watch it.
It's interesting that you bring up that whole like coming in and out of rooms thing. You know, like what movie? Oh, funny enough, it's later on in my list. We'll talk about it. In a Violent Nature, but that movie also has like kind of like neo-realism thing that sounds like it's in Conclave, where it's like you're just kind of holding on shots, you know, that don't need to be. You know, it's like somebody getting in and out of their car and walking to the building and then entering the building, you know, or like walking over to the door, like you just said, opening the door, leaving the door, closing the door. It's like, why is all this here? Yeah,
because it's fucking cool, Jan.
But here's my question: is it cool? Like, don't get me wrong, I do like it because I do find it immersive. You know, I do think it is immersive, but I can see it for a lot of people feeling like this is slow. You know, like what, like. You know, a lot of people said In a Violent Nature was a slow movie, which I guess it is slow, but yeah, it's just like that neo-realism aspect of like the reality,
like the minutia and all that.
Yeah, the reality of the moment, the minutia, all that stuff. But still, I mean, it is cool, and I've been noticing that kind of stuff rearing its head more and more in movies as of late, which I'm all for. It's cool. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, any more thoughts on Conclave or?
Just watch it, bro.
How are the other performances in it? I guess real quick, like how's the supporting cast? Pretty good, or?
Everyone was pretty good. I don't think anyone stuck out in a negative way. John Lithgow, I think plays like
he's
kind
awesome.
of like. Yeah, he's. I think he was in Dexter.
Yeah, he's also in How I Met Your Mother. Yeah.
Oh, hey, there you go.
He's legit.
He was great. I think he played kind of a bit more of like an antagonistic role, which is not a spoiler at all. It's like in the first 5 minutes.
That's what he does anyway. He's always a fucking.
That's what
villain.
he does. Yeah. But he was really good. Stanley Tucci's in there, a bit of a smaller role. Isabella Rossellini, really good. She also had a pretty small role, but I think it kind of fit within the context of like. I won't spoil
what was needed, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I think she her role, she did it well. Pretty cool.
So,
fun time.
Because I'm out of the loop with Conclave. So, what's it being like nominated for, and like what's in talks for it, like in the awards season? Like, is like a front runner for anything, or?
I think it's up there in contention for Best Picture. I think it's up there.
Really?
I don't think it'll win.
Yeah.
Best Actor maybe.
Best is it production design? Is that an award? Am I bad?
Probably. Conclave Awards.
Also, it's surprising that it's rated PG. I think that's like one of the most.
I forgot you mentioned this the other day. I totally forgot. Yeah, and you're right.
That is crazy to me. I don't know
pretty
why.
cool.
I don't know why that's so crazy. I'm like, with that
You don't want that
cast
too much.
and that
I
subject
mean,
matter.
the subject matter is for adults. Like, I don't think any kid is gonna want to walk into this.
That's
and
why
watch
it's
this whole
so
movie.
interesting. It's like, what kid is gonna watch this? What family is gonna watch this movie? This is for adults, but it's PG. I found that really interesting, actually. I don't know. I don't know why. I guess it doesn't need the language, which is cool. But
True. But pretty cool.
yeah.
Pretty cool. And your number 7.
we talked about it earlier, is Cuckoo. Now,
Ooh, wow.
Cuckoo, similarly to, I guess, some of these other movies, again, the trailer, sitting in that theater, watching movies every other week and just having this trailer come on. The first trailer for Cuckoo is fucking awesome. It is a great, like, teaser trailer or full trailer, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's a great trailer. And I will say, I will concede that I'm a little biased to what these movies are. Or I guess what movies make up this one movie, if you will. It's like, it has like a little bit of giallo in there. It's a little bit like a B movie, like foreign B movie horror movie, right? And
that's a good description.
And it also is kind of like a creature feature, and it's also kind of a coming of age movie, but it's also like this detective procedural at the same time. It's like this investigation movie.
Yeah. I like that little note of like the gruff German detective a little bit.
Dude, this movie plays into genre, like into different genres so well. This is a genre movie, like without question.
Yeah. I think it all melts together though.
No,
in contrast to Longlegs. I know.
Yeah. I think with this movie, it does a little differently than, I guess, like other movies that are blending genres, like A Strange Darling or Love Lies Bleeding or A Longlegs or whatever. I think this movie is maybe not as serious as the other ones. Like, it's a little goofy, which it wears on its sleeves. Mind you, it never doesn't play it straight. You know what I mean? But it is a little goofy, and it plays with that, despite always being played straight, if that makes sense. But I think it does it pretty well. Also, there's like a little bit of Jurassic Park in there. I don't know if you remember that, just like a little bit with Dan Stevens. Like, he's kind of like, he's like playing God.
Yeah, I see that now. What was the little thing he did with the flute? Am I remembering correctly?
Yes, you are.
The flute?
Yeah. I like this movie. Just putting it into words, right? It's a movie where a butterfly knife wielding Hunter Schafer, who is also in a rock band, battles like German science experiments on a mountaintop.
Yeah. A lot of eugenics.
Yeah. Oh my God. 100%. 100% with the German scientist, evil laboratory on top of a mountain with the experiments and also just like, the idea of like working at a hotel in this isolated place and weird things are happening to the people at the hotel. Like, conceptually, it is very cool. Even if the movie doesn't harp on that nearly as much as I thought it was going to, it still acts as a cool backdrop. Like, I think what this movie does really well, compared to a lot of the other movies on this list, maybe, is I thought that the location played a pretty big part of the movie. Some movies, the location feels like a character in the movie. Like, for me, it's like Amityville in Jaws feels like a character, or like Hogwarts in Harry Potter feels like its own character, or like obviously Jurassic Park in Jurassic Park, or like the list can go on. There's like the location plays a part in the movie, or like what is it, Haddonfield in Halloween. In this movie, it felt like the Swiss Alps were like its own character in a way. Like, they're like stuck in this mountain in the middle of nowhere, and the only thing around is like this weird hotel. And then like a suspicious.
There's like 4 buildings in the whole town. You have the hospital, the police station, and that's pretty much it. That's the motel, right?
Yeah, and then that in and of itself, especially as the movie goes on, you learn about like, why is there just a random hospital with no one there on this mountain? Like, there's not even house. Like, no one lives here for miles. Like, why is there a hospital here next to this motel? And yeah, it just devolves into madness. And I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool, and I think it does. I mean, I didn't necessarily get emotional while watching it, but I think it does tug on some good themes and messages about like family, and identity and like motherhood and that kind of thing. Like, the older adoptive sibling thing going on with this weird family. Like, it's there. It is there, and it plays into the monster stuff. And I thought it was pretty cool. It's a little messy. Don't get me wrong, and maybe the performances, at least from like Hunter Schafer, don't stand out as much as some of the other performances on this list. But
Yeah, I was gonna ask about Hunter Schafer. What you thought of her?
um, I have not seen her before. I know they're in Euphoria, but I have not seen her performances in really anything else. I haven't even watched Euphoria. But in this movie, I think they do everything that is required of them. You know,
Alright.
but I don't know.
I think that was the one of the things that stuck out for me with the movie was her. I liked her in Euphoria. I think she fit in Euphoria pretty well. In this movie, she was just kind of like, I don't want to say the bumbling teen,
You know,
but
you
like,
could say that.
yeah, yeah. I'll just leave it at that. I wasn't super crazy about her performance in it, but
It's similar to like it reminds me again. I have another coming of age movie on the list too. With like, I mean, that's a staple with that genre, right? Is the bumbling teen who's kind of awkward and unsure of themselves, and that's exactly what Hunter Schafer is in this movie. But I guess when it's time to throw down, they throw down, and that's pretty cool, you know. Overall, I think Cuckoo was a good time. It's a good little genre piece. I think it has some of the best scares out of the whole year, in my opinion. Like, the bike scene is fucking rad. Like, that's an awesome little scene.
sure, yeah, that stuck out for a lot of people. Yeah.
That is if anything, I think if there's one scene that sticks out, I think it's that scene. And there are other talks about this movie where, I don't know if you've heard this before, where it's like, if you can remember the design of a character from a horror movie, like, that is, in some ways, like, a good horror movie. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember I really dug her look in terms of being like fucked up.
Yeah, it's like
her
what
jacket and her
the
sling and her, I think,
exactly.
like broken nose or something.
Yeah.
Like, I just like the look.
Yeah, they're fucked up. Got the headband, the arm cast,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
the bomber jacket, you know, with like I think it's like Converse or something. And then the butterfly knife, like having a butterfly knife and just fighting German science.
Automatically, it
experiments.
makes you fucking rad.
Dude, it's sick. It is sick. Yeah, and
It
it's
is
like,
cool, yeah.
'cause I think of other horror movies like what is it, like Us with like the red jumpsuits, you know, or like Freddy Krueger, like characters that have recognizable costumes. I kind of in my head, like if you showed me somebody like a Halloween costume of Hunter Schafer's character from Cuckoo, I would recognize that's from Cuckoo, like because it is memorable. But yeah, I mean, overall, those are my thoughts on Cuckoo. I think it's pretty good, dude. It's pretty good. Yeah, closing thoughts for you. Any more for Cuckoo? Shout out to Cuckoo.
Any more Cuckoo? I didn't make my list. I think it's a good time. I think I might hold it within like the Strange Darling rank for the year. I liked it. It was pretty good. I don't know if it cuts the top 10 though for me, but still, I think it's a pretty good time.
Yeah. And then that leaves us with number 6, which I guess this will be where you fought me on Longlegs. I'll fight you on this one, I guess, a little bit.
You fought me on Nosferatu.
Yeah, yours is
my number 6.
Yeah, Nosferatu. Yeah.
So, I do feel conflicted on this movie. Although I still
pretty high
think
on
it
your
deserves.
list.
It is pretty high on my list. Maybe it should. Again, I've re-tinkered with this list a lot. I don't know if this should be my objective like ranking of top 10.
Sure.
But still, I think it deserves at least a place in the top 10. And again, okay, so going back, Nosferatu. I really like the director's other 3 movies. I love The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman goes hard. Fucking cool.
Oh yeah, Northman's great. Yeah.
Goes rad. But so going into this movie, again, maybe I had a little bit of higher expectations. It felt like it was kind of hitting on similar notes to what Eggers has done before. A lot of the shots kind of feel similar in their symmetry and everything. The story you're pretty familiar with already. You know what the major central conflict is. And as I'm watching, I'm kind of just waiting for something to kind of jump at me. So a scene or a character moment or something to kind of jump at me. And a lot
sounds
of the
like you're being
movie
negative.
it sounds like I'm being negative. Maybe I'll be more negative, actually. I don't know. And a lot of the movie kind of feels like narrative catch-up. Like, we,
For
the
sure.
audience, know what's happening, but the characters, up until, like, the last 40 minutes, don't know exactly what's happening. So you're just kind of waiting and waiting and waiting. And yeah, after walking out of the theater, I don't know. I was kind of struggling with it. Maybe, again, it could be expectations that I kind of took with me into the theater. But there's still, again, some of those moments that stick out to me. Again, the aesthetics of the movie. The setting is super cool. I love the interaction with the lead male actor, Nicholas Hoult.
Oh, he had a great year too. Great year.
Yeah, he in this movie he's pretty cool. I love his interaction with the Romanians. Like right after he sets out
Mm-hmm.
to
And
go
then,
to
like the tavern, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Sequences like that were pretty good. I liked the change. Again, this is Dracula pretty much, but I liked a little bit of the change of like the raising of the stakes and also like the symbolism of the rats infecting the city. I feel like that was captured pretty well, and I like what layer that added to the movie of like, I guess like the corruption and degradation of like the secular world, or whatever. The things that we're kind of losing in touch of. That's the stuff that existed in the past.
Right.
I like that, and also the Lily Rose Depp stuff with Willem Dafoe. There's just one scene with them that I liked. Where they discuss like, oh, you would have been a sorceress or something. What did he say to her?
Something. And I think he might have said that. Something like that.
Yeah, like, oh, but if we lived in the olden days, you would have been someone of high importance. But now in this new age, that's gone, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A moment like that was pretty good.
Goes hard.
But again, there's parts of me that just wanted more. I wanted more of this scholar of the occult, this medical doctor. And this guy with the money investigating what the fuck's going on to this city, you know? But yeah, I again, still though, this, I liked parts of this movie. It's in my top 10. I might tinker around with its placement. But yeah, I think it's still a good time. I think it's still worth a watch. At least in a theater experience. I think it was a good theater movie.
I think it is a great theater movie. Unfortunately, my viewing, I told you about it, is a little fucked with these high schoolers behind me that just want to shut the fuck up. Then just kind of ruin the movie a little bit.
As it happens, yeah.
But also, just like, I don't know about your theater, but when I saw it, a lot of people kept laughing at Lily Rose Depp. I don't know, like
I felt the opposite, but also in a not great way. My theater didn't react. It was full. It was Christmas night or maybe Christmas Eve.
Oh hell yeah!
Or Christmas night. It was packed theater. I heard like some rumblings and reactions in the beginning of the movie, but the more it went on, it was just kind of quiet, which I feel like isn't a great sign. And also, literally the second we're walking out, I hear a woman say like, "Oh, the Coppola version's better."
It reminds me of like what you just described as like Beau's Afraid to me. It's like the beginning of the movie starts off so strong, and you can feel the life being sucked out of the room with every passing minute. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, I agree, Coppola's version is better, but you know.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we've watched it together.
That's a whole other discussion, though. But it is better. Well, so I guess to your point about, because I agree with you. I think that the doctor and the Van Helsing character, and the husband, Nicholas Hoult, like investigating Count Orlok and where he is in the city and trying to find him and how to dispatch of him was really cool. But is that normally like a big part of the narrative? Because I remember in Coppola's version, I don't think it was that big of the narrative in that one either. Was it? Like, was it? Like, it was a lot more of like their romance in that movie too, just like in this one as well, right?
Yeah, I think again a lot of it kind of ties back, I guess, a little bit to the Dune discussion of like the emotional core of the movie. Again, this movie's doing something different from Coppola's Dracula, very much so. The romantic connection between the Winona Ryder character and Dracula.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. In this movie, it feels a lot more, I guess, like predatory. Is that the right word?
Yes.
Invasive.
I think it is.
Well, Coppola's is that as well. You do feel the central character of Dracula of like the longing and desire, I guess, and the life that he had lost. Whereas in this one, he's just a fucking vampire that wants to.
Oh my god, he's just a bad dude. He's running around butt naked, harassing people.
Yes,
yeah. He's not cool. He's throwing rats at citizens. Yeah.
But I think that's another thing too, of that people. Again, that emotional core that some people might want more of. So. Yeah.
I guess it had been. I've only seen it one time, and again, I wasn't too hot on it the first time. But I remember Lily Rose Depp is such a scorching hot take, but I didn't think, and again, my theater experience is a little muddled, it's a little fucked up, but I don't remember her having like a crazy amount to do for how much screen time she got, and again, I'm monkey brained and I wasn't properly paying attention because the fucking annoying shit's behind me. But I remember thinking, same as you, I'm like the doctor, like this gang of people who are trying to take out this vampire and protect
the
this
mystery
lady.
Gang.
Mystery Incorporated, and them trying to like protect her from this fucking predatory vampire was really interesting. But then whenever we cut to her, it kind of just felt like we were on the same thing. You know, it's like she's stuck in the same room, in the same bed, and she's bugging out the same, you know, like, versus the other one, it's like, okay, we're in this castle, now I'm back at home, and I got to recruit these guys, and where do we look in the city, and now we're on a boat, and we're looking around, like, there's more going on, versus her being stuck in the same house for literally the whole movie. And I mean that, like, literally, she was stuck in that fucking house for the whole movie. And maybe I'm not used to that, because the story felt so big. And you know what? And maybe that's the point. You know, poor Lily, you know, her character, what's her name? I don't remember her name. Poor Lily Rose Depp, stuck in that house the whole grandiose movie, stuck in there, being tormented by this dickhead. Maybe that is the point, actually. But, yeah, and to your point as well about, like, the Eggers stuff, is he like, do you want to see him do something different, or because I kind of got that same vibe of, like, this feels, obviously he's going to feel samey, like, it's the same director, that's his visual style, that's how he does things, but maybe too much so sometimes. So I'm like, oh,
maybe slow down.
Yeah, like, mayy I think that's why
maybe
I like
do an alien movie, bro.
Oh my
Let's
god,
do some fucking aliens. Let's get that shit up in here.
That shit would be sick, actually. Like, because I felt
let's do some 1950s Russians hunting down aliens. Come on.
I felt it with The Northman. I was like, oh my god, this feels so different. Actually, like, it feels like an Eggers movie, but it actually feels so different. And this
remember
movie,
with Northman,
yeah,
I agree. I remember with Northman, though, I don't think he had final cut. I think that was one of the things that it was the speakings and rumblings that he didn't have final cut, which like, bummer, you know, sad. But still, as I was watching Northman, I'm like, wow, his style still translates to, like, the action momentum pretty well. I still really dug it. But yeah, is he? I don't know. I still like him. I still like his work. I like his style. And I would like for him to do what he likes to do, because I think we need more directors who are
I agree.
because I think this is his most profitable movie. I think that this is his biggest.
I think so, yeah. But I have seen this common critique given to some of his movies, and you know what? I could maybe give it to Nosferatu as well. And if anything, you know what? I will give it to Nosferatu. Aside from, for me, The Northman and The Lighthouse, I feel as though his characterization is not the best, like, his character writing. I've seen some people say, like, I couldn't feel a lot for Nosferatu because I couldn't really connect to the characters. Like, there's not a lot given to me, and I see that.
Nosferatu.
I do feel that. Like, at least with The Northman, you're like, that central feeling of, like, rage and, like, vengeance. Like, you feel it because it's there at the beginning. You're there when he's a kid and how much he adores his dad. And he trips balls with his dad, and he loves his dad. And seeing him literally killed in front of him, and he has to run, like, that shit goes fucking hard. And he goes to see his mom. Like, there's a lot going on there for that character. Same thing in The Lighthouse. It's almost all character. It's just people talking. It's two people talking in rooms, right? But in this one, it felt like a grand adventure where I couldn't get too invested because I didn't know who these people really were. You know, it's like, well, he's a real estate guy, like. I don't know. Is that it? And then she's a housewife or something. I don't even remember. I don't know. You know, I don't know. And then I don't know. I think it needed a little bit more character, for me at least. Besides being a mood piece, but yeah.
One movie might have great character is your number 6.
Well, you haven't seen this, right? You haven't seen Perfect Days?
I have not seen it. I'll let you take it away.
So. Ironically, I feel as though this might be the hardest movie for me to talk about because it is so mundane, right? It's a very, very mundane movie.
Which is, have you said the title?
Perfect Days. Yeah. Okay. Perfect Days, which I believe is a 2023 movie, but I think it was released in the U.S. in 2024.
I'll allow it.
And it feels like, well, for those of you who don't know, because a lot of people probably don't know what the fuck this is. This is a movie about a man who cleans shit and piss, reads books, and listens to music for the entire runtime, and that's all the movie is, right? That is all it is. It's just, you're just following this guy and his everyday life, and he just cleans bathrooms, listens to music, and reads books, and occasionally talks to people, and I can see that being very hard to recommend for some people, right? Like it's plotless, it's a little meandering, but intentionally so. But it felt to me kind of like it felt very Buddhist. It felt like a Buddhist movie to me, you know. Like
finding contentment, I guess. Or...
Yeah, like it tackles like the concept of like following a life of like asceticism instead of like materialism. You know what I mean? It's like it's just like self-discipline. We're not indulging in anything other than the task at hand. You know, it's like because some people just need that, I guess. You know, and it does tackle other things like some people. You know, what some people want or maybe even need in their life, you know, like, I don't know, the internet, social media, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't shame other kinds of, like, ways of life, you know? It doesn't, it's not one of those movies that are, like, abandon everything and become a janitor and enjoy only the little things in life. Like, it's not, that's not what it is either. And maybe you could kind of get that from, it doesn't shame any other type of living or ways of thinking, you know? But I think it's obviously one of those movies that challenges the viewer's sense of like happiness and success. You know what I mean? Because again, the main character is a guy that just he cleans toilets for a living, but he is so happy, you know, and it's inspiring because it's like. A lot of people, I would imagine a lot of people, if not most people who watch that movie might have more than he does, you know, quote unquote more, but maybe aren't as good of a headspace as he is. Right. And it's not like he's happy all the time, you know, like he, I think like anybody else, if you live in, you know, an isolated life, I think having thoughts of like, I wonder what my kids are doing. What are my parents doing? Like, I hope they're even alive, you know? And like maybe perceiving what other people think of me too. Like, am I a failure in life because I clean toilets?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of provocative things going on, and I think it tackles them in a really beautiful and endearing way. You know, and I think it shows you like, for some people they don't need like, you know, the white picket fence around their home, and you know they don't need kids, and they don't need like. You know, all these other obligations, societal obligations, you know, they're content with just being themselves and doing what they like and living isolated from everything else. And I think that is cool that the movie explores those kind of things. You know, a lot of times, a lot of movies are like, people got to be with people, you know, we're social creatures. We got to be with other people. And I think in this movie, granted, he likes talking to people. It's not like he's like a fucking loner. Like he has friends. But it just shows you the contentment of being with yourself, you know, and having self-agency in even shitty situations. I get, no pun intended, shitty situations. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's fantastic. Great soundtrack, shot beautifully.
I gotta see it. I gotta see it. I've been putting it off for some reason. I don't know why. There
are also dream sequences that feel very David Lynch inspired, which caught me off guard. I had no idea that those were going to be in the movie. But also, I've seen rumblings as well. It's not going to get nominated, but rumblings of like, is this the best performance of the year? And I can totally see that. Between him, the main lead, whom I don't know the name of, or Adrian Brody, I'm like torn between the two of them because in Perfect Days, it's a much more, which is crazy because in Brutalist, it's already a pretty subtle performance, I think, a lot of the time. But in Perfect Days, he goes through a lot of like a spectrum of emotions, and I don't know if I've ever seen this actor before, but he is fucking legit in this movie, especially in the later half when certain things are asked of him and he has to do certain things. You're like, dude, like it's pulling on the heartstrings. Like I feel it. Like I really feel what this guy's going through. It's great.
Yeah, I recognize. I think he's like a huge actor in Japan. I recognize him
a
from.
Piece of shit. All right.
No, that's fine. No, because I've been telling you to watch Cure. I think he's like the lead detective in Cure.
Oh, is he the guy on the cover? Is that him?
Yeah, that's it.
That's him, really. Wow, what a stud.
He's the detective investigating the killer guy.
Okay. Yeah, I still need to see Cure. Yeah.
He's legit. Yeah. I'll be honest, I've only seen the movies of his are directed by the same director, Kiyoshi Kurosawa.
Hmm.
Those are the only movies of his that I've seen, but in all of them, he's pretty good.
Yeah,
I dig him.
amazing.
But yeah, I gotta see Perfect Days. It's Wim Wenders, bro.
You should. I will
I'm
say
putting it up.
this is a movie that maybe you should see.
With the right mood.
Right mood, and I think you should see by yourself. I don't think maybe
Yeah, I won't put my family through it.
yeah, like because my dad's like, oh, I really want to watch this movie, and I'm like, I don't know if you should watch it with me. You know, I just don't know because you're gonna think I can see this like if you're with like somebody who's like an average moviegoer, like why the fuck am I watching this? Like, well, nothing is happening in this movie, and if you're one of those people, do not watch this movie because you'll just fucking be mad and you'll be bored. That's what this movie is. But if you like human interaction shit, you know, like the mundanity of life, it's pretty rad actually. But yeah, that's Perfect Days. I think it's pretty.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
We have the same number 5.
I might have made a last-second change
What the fuck?
to keep it spicy.
Wait, is this list that I'm looking at not the same?
Refresh it.
Oh my god.
I changed it last second because I'm like, I don't know.
Okay.
But
we do not have the
so
same
my
number
5.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Anora. Anora.
Banger.
We watched this together.
Yeah.
We watched this together, and I think we actually had both the same kind of response to it, of being like, "This is good," but I don't know if it's my favorite Best Picture of the year. You know,
it's getting so much buzz.
A lot of buzz. I think I got like Best at Cannes and what the Lion or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. It's been buzzing like crazy. A lot of hype. I've only seen. We got to see Red Rocket. We've been putting that off for too long.
Yeah, still my watch list. Yeah, I almost watched it last night. Actually,
both of us have seen Florida Project, right?
Yes. Yeah, I've seen it.
I love it. I think you love it too, or you like it.
That's a great movie. Yeah, for sure.
Great movie. I really liked it.
He's legit. Sean Baker's legit, dude. He's legit.
He's very good. I like how natural his movies feel. If that's the best word I could use.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The characters and how they interact with spaces and stuff. It just feels like they feel like real people. And literally, he does that with Florida Project. He just grabs some actors, literally.
Did he do that
like off Instagram? They're like, "Oh, you live in the area. You want to act? Like, you want to do it with me?"
Yeah. Did he do that with Tangerine as well, or?
I believe so. I haven't seen it though, but I wouldn't be surprised. And so Anora, with a lot of hype, walking in with certain expectations. I don't know if that as taken by it as I would have liked it to be. I think most of my issues with the movie hit at like the midway point, where it starts to drag a little bit. I feel like the comedic beats are good, and then they keep going, and I'm like, okay, let's kind of wrap it up.
Quite literally, halfway through the movie, the Three Stooges just walk onto the screen. And
I like the subversion of the gang. You know, these gangs aren't as good as maybe other gangs you have seen in movies. Mm-hmm. You know, and I like that subversion. But again, the halfway point it drags. But I still feel that the movie, I think it's a good time. Everyone's hyped about the lead performance. I think she's very good. I like how the movie balances feeling naturalistic while also being like very pointed and specific in what it's trying to doing. There are some characters like this old guy who runs a candy shop, who feels like an old guy running a candy shop. It feels supernatural. While at the same time, there are some shots I feel like so preconceived and like perfect that it's like, wow, it's doing this balancing act that I don't see that often, and I think it does it very, very good. I think it's still worth a watch. Even though, again, I have some issues with its story. It's a good time. I enjoyed it.
To your point about the subversion stuff, I would give that a positive reception to as well. Like, normally, I feel like in a movie like this, you would think once these guys pull up, once the gang pulls up, the movie's gonna get serious. It's time to get serious. It's time to get darker. But it was like the opposite. It was like the movie got way more slapsticky. It got way more goofy.
Oh yeah.
And
the first half is the Cinderella story, I guess.
For sure.
Things are going great, yada yada. Which they say out loud in the movie, like, "Oh, you're like Cinderella." The movie does that a few times, where it kind of beats you over the head with certain things, which it's okay. But then the second half is like you're expecting it to go south, and it does, but not exactly in the way you anticipate, which I guess is good.
Yeah, and I mean, and I don't know if this is necessarily spoiler because it's all over the trailers, right? Like you I think you kind of know going into this movie what's going to happen, but like it's so blatantly obvious that a certain thing is going to happen. And you know, I think looking back, like on recollection, I think I have been a little harsh on this movie, because the more like we were talking about like movies with an aftertaste, right? And for me, Anora was one of them. It did take root in my brain, despite it not even making my top 10 list. I have thought about this movie quite a bit. Yeah, on second thought, a lot of my issues with the movie honestly feel very intentional now that I think about it. And maybe I wasn't fair to how I initially thought about the movie, but like her not having as much agency in the second half. But it's like all these men show up and they take away all this agency from her, you know, and they just like kind of boss her around all of a sudden. And it's like the opposite of what was going on earlier in the movie, you know, in the club. And it's like, okay, that's actually kind of interesting. And even her at the beginning where it's like, this is not gonna work, lady. Like, do you even see the same guy that you're with? Like this is not happening. And then on second thought, it's like she probably knew that. You know, she just wanted something else. She was hoping that maybe this could be it. Like, you know, a way to a better life or a way out or a way to have a fresh start or something. You know, I've been seeing some of that online, and I kind of get that as well. Almost like she was like lying to herself, like, yeah, this is gonna work out with this guy, even though clearly not. He's a fucking, you know. So yeah, maybe Anora goes hard. Actually, maybe it does.
A little hard. It goes hard.
It does. Yeah, it does.
But again, I'm still. It's in the middle of my list. Maybe with extra thought, it could go one of two directions, up or down. But I'll keep it right there, smack middle. I think it's a good time.
But
you're number 5.
Yeah, funny enough, you just fucking moved it, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I ruined it. Yeah,
so, I mean, and we can.
I'm gonna try to keep on your toes.
Okay, well, I'll just move mine around. Put Longlegs at the bottom this time.
Yeah.
My number 5, formerly your number 5, is The Substance, which interesting movie. Very very interesting. Like, I think we've talked about this before. Whenever I think of 2024, from here on out to the end of time, I probably won't think about any of these other movies on the list like I do The Substance. Like, I think this movie is synonymous with 2024 now.
Yeah, like, another friend of ours said that, like, I'm gonna put The Substance on the list because it's like, it's the 2024 movie.
Yeah, I think it was Jose. Cool. I think it was Jose. Yeah. And I completely agree. Like, well, it might not be the biggest box office success or the biggest movie ever or whatever,
or even the best movie of the year,
or even or even the best movie of the year. But this is the movie of the year without question. You know, yeah, you could say, The Brutalist. Yeah, but The Substance. Okay, this movie is fucking nuts. This movie is crazy. This is a crazy movie. I left it. I think my initial review was like 3.5 stars, maybe even 3 stars, like 3.5, I think, of what it was. And I remember feeling very conflicted with this movie the first time I saw it, and I still am, to be honest with you, because yes, the movie beats you over the head with everything that it's doing, right? But sometimes I question if it needs to, because the movie is so blatant in what it's doing that the fact, because I in my notes, and even when I watched the movie, I remember thinking, why does it feel the need to like explain what's going on every 15 minutes? You know, I don't.
Sure. Yeah.
And I didn't know why, because I'm like, the movie is so obvious, intentionally so. Like, it's being so blatant in what's happening. Then it's like, in case, like, especially that diner scene, it's like egregious levels of exposition for me, at least. I'm like, yeah, anybody with eyes knows what the fuck is going on. Like, you don't have to tell me everything in case you didn't miss it halfway through the movie. There's a big exposition scene, and even telling you like, these are the themes of the movie. By the way, in case you haven't gotten it yet, you know, in case you're still wrapped up in the weird, grotesque shit that's going on, this is what the movie's actually about. Like, it just explains itself outright multiple times. But even so. Is it fun as fuck to watch? Is it hilarious?
Yeah.
You know? Like,
it does feel that even with like I guess the movie kind of beating over the head, I do feel like that's kind of like synonymous with the experience of the movie. That's like this movie feels like a declaration of like itself, like of it expressing its own individual identity. And I think that even kind of goes into I think the production of the movie. I think I heard that they were once the movie was said and done, they were shopping it around to like Warner Brothers or something somewhere, and they said, "Hey, cool, take out that ending, or at least cut it down."
Hell no.
And the director said, "No, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna shop around a bit." And so I do feel that again, although the movie is like kind of like a cautionary tale of like, succumbing to bigger forces and giving up yourself. It does at the same time feel like, I guess, a declaration of individuality. And I think it's a good time. I had a great time. It's much more. We talk about slapstick or camp. The last 20 minutes of the movie, ridiculous, but I still feel that it fits with the movie, and I think it's a great time.
I love that it never ever strays off the path that it sets on immediately. Like it is like this is exactly what the movie is from the very beginning, and it does not stop. It only goes faster and harder.
It doesn't stop. It just keeps going.
It just keeps go for better or worse, because I don't know about you, but the movie does feel kind of long. It does.
Sure.
But was I ever bored for a second of the movie? Absolutely not. Like never once. And also, as for the performances in the movie, maybe I'm a hater, but I think both of them performances are great. I don't know if Margaret Qualley gets as much to do as maybe people are saying that she does. She serves the movie perfectly. Like her character portrayal is perfect. But like what she gets to do, it feels kind of one note a little bit, intentionally. It's fine. Demi Moore, for me, I don't know if it's too goofy of a performance to be like necessarily like best actress worthy. Maybe I'm being a fucking hater. But like,
I don't think you're wrong. I do think that again, the movie's good. People are being swept up into it, reasonably, rightfully so. But I don't know if some of the lead performances kind of match that. I think they did the job, I guess, a little bit.
I mean, she's like an evil witch with like a cauldron at one point in the movie.
Oh my god!
Like literally an evil witch.
Yeah.
With a cauldron, maybe like halfway or so through the movie, and you're like, what is going on? But it's fun. It's really fun. Good performances, despite what I just said. And also, I mean, come on, the practical effects, legit. Also, another movie where the setting plays a character in the movie. Like it is, the world building is awesome. It feels
so artificial.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In a good way, and I don't mean that in the sense that it takes you out of the movie. I think it elevates the experience of the movie.
Yeah, I guess that's my number 5. Your number 4, The Substance.
Your number 4,
the movie of the year. Come on, and yeah, my number 4.
This is free. This movie's again as a well. Actually, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I'm interested in what you're gonna say first because I'm gonna gas it up. So I mean,
his number 4 is In a Violent Nature.
Banger.
And also, we have another friend who loves this movie.
Yeah.
Jose said he loved it, and this isn't for me, and that's fine. I didn't grow up with slashers. I don't know much of like the slasher lore.
You shouldn't have grown up with slashers, by the way. No kid should have to grow up on slashers.
Sure, yeah. And I watched it, and it wasn't for me. But again, the people who like these types of movies adore it, and you know what? Amen, brother. Good for you.
To go back to the whole neo-realism thing, that's the whole movie. It's just a guy walking around in the longest...
Like American people, bro.
Yeah, but just walking in the longest unbroken takes. just walking around, you know? And again, like you said, if you don't have like a burning love for slashers movies, right? Like a truly, like this adoration for these movies, I don't know if this is going to do anything for you. Because that's all it is. It's a slasher, but from the villain's perspective. And yeah, you could say, that sounds really neat, but then you stop and think about, what is the slasher doing in horror movies 90% of the time? They're probably not doing fucking anything. You know, they're probably just, like, I think of Michael Myers. What is Michael doing? He's probably just wandering around in, like, the backyards and on sidewalks through this, through the town. Like, what is Jason doing? He's just walking around in the woods.
Just walking.
What is Freddy
Just
Krueger doing?
walking.
What is Freddy Krueger like? Waiting for people
So
to go to
character
sleep.
like Reed Richards in Marvel Rivals, just like straight up just strutting.
Yeah,
Just going at it. Yeah.
They're just waiting. You know, like I think about all these killers. What are the killers doing in these movies besides Scream? It's like they're just waiting.
Yeah, besides Scream. Yeah.
Besides Scream, just waiting and doing nothing. Even in like Cuckoo and stuff, it's like, what are they doing in the movie? Or Longlegs, like what are they doing? They're just sitting around, sitting around and waiting. And it's like that takes that to a whole new level because that's what the movie is. And it also has like vibes of like this feels like a sequel, like a homage to a sequel of Friday the 13th, where it's like
when I was watching it with you, it felt like deeply, deeply, deeply intertwined. Like even beyond homage, like it was almost taking it exactly, almost. But that's kind of my feeling.
Yeah, like a little bit fan fictiony, you know, like a little bit. Where it's like, oh, he's been resurrected before. There's already a Tommy Jarvis type character and his mom and dad. You know, it's like it's so similar to Jason Voorhees, and it acts like a sequel to one of those movies. Like, you know, the Campfire Tale. Oh, have you heard about the first movie? You know, the first movie where the dad killed everybody, just like Friday the 13th. Like, and again, for me, that's fucking awesome. Okay, because, like when he goes to like, there's a part of the movie where he goes to an office and he's looking through like these pictures, and the pictures to the viewer are like, who are these people? What is the significance of the scene? But if you're a horror fan, you're like, these are references to movies that don't exist. Like it's so cool. But again, yeah, it's either for you or it's not. And I could totally see why it wasn't for you, you know? Because it is slow. It is boring.
Sure. And I've heard it's similar to Sasquatch Sunset. I've heard people say like, "Oh, this could have been a short," you know.
I can totally see that, and I don't disagree, literally at all. Like this is a short for sure, blown up to a full length movie. Same with like I think of slashers. Like slasher movies, let's be honest, they kind of fucking suck, and they're kind of fucking boring, and you're just waiting for people to die. You know, like when I watch Friday the 13th, do I care about these interpersonal relationships?
Yeah.
Why won't Shelly fuck me? You know, we're having relationship problems. You know, I'm gonna go sleep with so and so instead. It's like, do I care? Not even. Where's
in fact,
Jason?
I kind of want these people to fucking die.
Exactly. I'm like, if anything, is that the performances are so annoying, and it's like just the characters are annoying. You're like, just kill them, please kill them. And I think this movie plays it up because I've heard some critiques too, like that human characters are terrible in the movie. And in my head, I'm like, 100%. Like, but it feels intentional. Like, it feels like they're asking these actors, "Hey, play camp. Like, play it up. Like, play it up like you're just fodder." Because they are. They are just fodder. They're there to die. They're there to be annoying. And again, you know, it's for you or it isn't. And that's really all there is. Also has some great kills. First of all, great kills.
Oh yeah,
amazing kills.
Even I appreciated.
Yeah,
the art of the kill.
And it's getting a sequel, so I mean, I guess it did well enough.
Pretty good.
Yeah, well enough. So hey, fuck it, right? So yeah, that's In a Violent Nature. Yeah. That's my number 4. Yours is The Substance, which means wow, we're closing in on the top 3.
Wow! Look at us.
We're almost there. And so for you, your number 3. Again, I haven't seen it. It's called A Different Man, and I've heard it's like The Substance for dudes. Is that true, or can you test that?
Yes. More specifically, The Substance, but for sad boys. Okay. It's for the guys. Yeah, come on. We need one too. But hey, I think. So again, I went in with this movie. I keep repeating myself, but liking the genre, liking the tone. It definitely feels like a few movies that we've seen together. Seconds, from the 60s. Is it
really that similar to Seconds? Is it really?
What was that?
Is it that similar to Seconds for real?
There are hints of it. We could definitely see. There's like the scene where they're like concocting the new face.
Oh, okay, okay.
So there are those creepy laboratory stuff going on. This other movie. Oh, God, what did he do? The Face of Another. Also a Japanese movie from the 60s. I kind of like those types of. I don't know if body horror is the right word, but movies of identity. Seem pretty interesting to me. And I like those old kind of, I guess, 60s flicks that kind of tackle that. And this movie also felt it was tackling that genre, more specifically that era, despite it taking place in like current day, tackling that era. And I thought it was pretty good. The performances were really cool. The setting was really cool. Specifically, the main character when he occupies the apartment. He lives in an apartment for the first chunk, I think. And there are those shots that still stick in my head of like the mold growing on the ceiling. You know, the droplets of water. Which are pretty cool and still stick in my head. And also the movie takes like a bit more of like a comedic, sarcastic turn than I anticipated. That I really liked. I think again, the setting is really cool. The subject matter is pretty cool. I think there is that little bit of, again, the ending of the movie, those last like 5 minutes, that might leave like a sour taste in people's mouths. And I did kind of raise an eyebrow as I was watching it. But again, I feel like that's a thing that you could just like cut out. Like, for if you like it, if you don't like it, you could just like delete it from your memory, your brain, and the rest of the experience is just such a good time that I don't think it matters. Very good movie all around, acting, performances, production. Yeah, very good time.
I still need to watch it. It's been on my list for quite some time now, and again, another actor, again. Sebastian Stan, dude, he's had a great year too. I
with The Apprentice.
Yeah, The Apprentice, and he did something else this year. I'm trying to remember. He did something else, but yeah, those two performances I've been hearing a lot of buzz about. Ironically, I haven't seen either of them. Fuck me, but yeah, I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it, and it's A24, right? It's an A24 movie.
I think so. Yeah,
dude, they're gaming. They are gaming.
They're gaming. Yeah.
Yeah. Any more thoughts? Because I feel like I don't have much to really offer, and I don't want to inquire because I just want to go in blind. Like I don't, So.
What else is there? I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, the film does feel like it's kind of like doing a homage to like kind of 60s. But I don't know if body horror is the right word to say. But yeah, explorations of the self and identity, I thought was pretty cool.
You know what? Let me ask you a question.
Costumes are good. I also like the costumes.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
My question is, why does this movie stand at number 3? What does it have that the other movies don't? Like, what's the secret sauce that this movie has?
The secret sauce? That's a great question. I don't know. I think it's just a me thing. Again, I think for each of us, the higher and higher we go up in rank, the more like subjective it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I did really like the exploration of a person's identity, of them stuck in this way of life, them down, and then the unexpected ramifications of them, I guess, altering that. Specifically, there's like the character foil. There's another character that comes into the mix of things that kind of shows him, no, you shouldn't have done that. Which I liked, and I think that it also is something that's pretty universal. I think everybody has the thing about them that they wish was different, similar to The Substance. I think even in a more extreme end, one of the actors in this movie has I think a disability. I forget what it's called. But
the deformation, like the face.
Yeah, it has a specific name. But he was in Under the Skin a little bit.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I heard he's great. In the movie too.
Yeah. Oh, he's very good in this movie. He got a lot of good laughs out of me. Very good. But again, I think there's something that I feel, I guess, personally connected to, of like, someone with a disability, someone that wishes that they had something different, that would try their damnedest to like get rid of it. But again, that's kind of like part of your identity. There's something that you just can't escape, and that you have to just accept and live with. Yeah. So it's similar to, I guess, the Seconds, the movie from the 60s that we both watched. Mm-hmm. The inescapable fact of like age and deterioration. Your body's failing you, and you pray to God and you try your damnedest to avoid it, but it comes. You can't avoid it.
It does kind of sound like The Substance the more you talk about it.
It's there. It's definitely there.
Interesting that they both came out in the same year too. Yeah, that's
pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. And I think again, it's something universal. I think that's maybe why I put them both pretty high up.
And they're right next to each other anyway, right? Yeah. So
True, yeah. Different sides of the same coin, one might say. Yes. Very good time. Your number 3.
yeah, so I guess to circle back, my number 3 is Snack Shack, which we'll get.
Some
to
might disagree with, myself included, but hey,
yes,
your list, brother.
That's so condescending. Like, yeah, that's like a really interesting pick.
It's actually like fucking terrible, bro. But
Okay. So to circle back around to what you just said about like what when I asked you why is this in your top 3, and the higher we go, the more subjective things are. That is, I think, the most evident with Snack Shack being my number 3. It was actually going to be my number 2, but then a little movie called The Brutalist came along. So for Snack Shack, it's just the kind of movie. Corny. It's the kind of movie that I dream of making. You know, it is just like that summer feel good movie, and it's just got vibes for days. You know, it's like along the lines of like a maybe Dazed and Confused. You know, maybe not as good, but it's in that line of like summer hangout, you know, teen coming of age story, right? But it's done in a way where like the characters are actually fucking hustlers, right? Like a lot of these movies are like stoners, or what do we do with our lives? What do I do? In this movie, it's like we're here to make fucking money. We're here to make money, and we're here to open up a business, and we're here to be gamers, you know. And I'm like, this is like refreshing. Like I really like that about the movie.
Yeah.
And of course it has all the same stuff of like, a new girl in town who's here for the summer, you know, the hot chick who kind of fucks up this friendship.
Sure.
And maybe there's like an older person that we look up to that maybe is troubled, and you know, like it has all these similar beats. It doesn't break any new ground. I don't think there's an original bone in this movie's body in terms of its plot structure and how things play out, right? But I think the movie just has this energy to it. I think the director, who also did Dinner in America, by the way,
banger
of a movie. And this
banger.
Director, I think, is legit. Like, say what you want about the story and, you know, the kind of movie that it is. It's directed to the nines, in my opinion. Like, and he gets great performances out of everybody that he works with. And
his next movie.
Oh yeah, what is
sounds really good. Do you know his next
No,
movie?
I don't. I have not been keeping up.
I just googled it right now.
A bad person. What is it?
Sounds pretty cool. With your favorite guy in Dune America.
Is it really
making a return? Yeah.
Oh my god!
Caroline. Apparently, it's being made right now.
Interesting.
Reading the synopsis.
Yeah, read it to me. Tell me.
A young woman who skips her small town in search of her estranged mother, alongside a charismatic con man on the run from the law. The duo leave a wave of crime and passion behind them as they hustle their way through the Southeast.
Okay. Now
that's pretty cool. It sounds like Bonnie and Clyde, like one of those. But
now this brings me back to another thing that I have to say.
Uh-oh.
With this kind of director in particular, in that, like we said with Eggers, I'm seeing a motif now. Now that you just said that, there's a motif. Even for Kyle Gallagher, I can never say his name. I'm just going to call him that for the sake of comedian. I don't know his name. How to pronounce it properly. He is playing. I hope he's not being typecasted. You know, I hope not. When you said con, he's playing the con man. I'm like, ooh, it sounds similar to Dinner America. You know, it sounds kind of similar. Maybe a little bit of like that strange darling in there. You know, and I'm all for it. And also like he has like this affinity for like small towns and like rural America and the Midwest, which I also find pretty refreshing. You know, I like that a lot about like Bones and All. You know, that kind of setting. And I think he has a similar vibe in his movies. And I know what I found really interesting about Snack Shack is that there was like this sense of like personability that was like oozing out of this movie for me, which I found a lot of relatability in it. You know, with my like I really truly saw so much of me and my best friend during high school in this movie, like even to the T of like fighting over a girl, you know, like and it's I saw a lot of relatability in what was going on and like trying to like start up like this little business, this little side hustle, and trying to like do things, and things are getting in the way, and I guess there was a lot of relatability in it for me that it just kept climbing my rankings. I was like, did this movie get pulled from my brain? Like, what's happening? This is so cool. And And I think what was cool is that the director, I mean, he said that it is almost like autobiographical, I believe. And you can see it,
Oh, that's nice.
you know,
Yeah.
and he filmed it in the town that he grew up in. You know,
That's cool.
the
I
swimming
always
pool,
like that. Yeah.
like the swimming pool and the movie theater and the main street. I'm like,
Yeah.
that is so cool, dude. That is so cool. And I felt it throughout the whole movie. I'm like, God, there is something special about this movie, despite it being arguably by the numbers in terms of structure and beats and etc. But I don't know, man. It was cute. It was a cute movie. Yeah. Also, Gabriel LaBelle. I mean, come on, Savage, the guy from the Fabelmans. And
I know people made a joke of like in the span of a year he played a 16-year-old and a 30-year-old in that one SNL movie. You know what I'm talking about?
Is he 30 in that movie? Is he really?
Or older? He's older.
That's
but
funny.
again, the jump.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
In age.
Yeah, for sure. Same thing in the Fabelmans. Like, what, he plays 14 or something? He does. By the way, there's no way. There's no way he's 14.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like,
but he's great. No, I like him. He's
fantastic.
He's a great actor.
I am keeping an eye on him. I think he's becoming
For sure,
one of those up and coming actors that you really got to look out for.
I'm hyped. I see the hype. I believe it.
But besides that, I sucked the dick of Snack Shack. Go ahead. Tell me your qualms with it. Be the other side of the.
Well,
the
no,
movie.
Again, personal connection. I guess I just didn't have that type of. I guess growing up or childhood and stuff. You know what I mean? Which totally plays into the fact why I like some movies, why I don't like other movies. And I think you already kind of hit on why some people might not like Snack Shack as much, being that you've seen the movie before.
Sure, yeah.
You know the direction it's going. Exactly, like beat by beat. Like every time it hits like a quarter beat of the movie, they get together, they fall apart.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, and I don't know. In terms of like my personal connection to the conflict, or I guess like more so seeing these characters achieving this goal, something about my believability of it. I don't know. Again, this is its own world. This is its own experience, and people who have lived it, given by you and the director. And my personal connection for it isn't quite there, which is fine.
Yeah, I guess some closing thoughts. I will always like you said. I'll always appreciate a movie that feels personal to the director. And some movies, I want to say like every movie is personal to a director in one way or another, right? Like, but this movie in particular, it just felt like a love letter to like his adolescence, and like where he lived in like the 90s, just like his childhood. And I felt it too. I'm like, there's just, even if I didn't grow up in the 90s, even if I didn't live this guy's life, like I see a lot of how I grew up in this movie, just like almost every situation of like sneaking out with your friends, to go to some parties and like coming home and you smell like a certain thing and your parents are like, what the fuck's going on? Like it's again, there's breaking no ground at all, but I felt a lot of the personability, so it just rose to the occasion for me, I guess. It was my number 3 spot. But yeah, it's my number 3. That's Snack Shack. I would watch it. It's cute. There's no buzz. This movie made like $400,000 at the box office.
It evaporated.
It doesn't exist.
The only people who watched it were the people who grew up on the shooting location.
Yeah. Oh, Red Letter Media, they covered it actually. Which I thought was nice. I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. Like if they're getting some recognition. By the way, even though they covered it, no one knows what the fuck this movie is.
Sure, yeah. So. And again, I don't want any movie to fail. Although this movie didn't like 100% connect with me, I still thought it was like a decent watch. And I really liked the director's previous. Did it come out right before Dinner in America?
It came out in 2020. So yeah, like what?
Oh, okay.
Like
yeah, Dinner in America I think is fantastic. And whatever this director has cooking, I'll go check out.
He has a nice style. Yeah, he's got a good vibe.
Yeah. A good energy.
Absolutely, yeah. And I do like his character writing. I loved Kyle Gallagher in Dinner in America. What does he say? Like,
hell yeah.
He's like, my dad says to not smoke cigarettes. Fuck your dad. That's fucking awesome. But yeah, and then number 2 sits for you. Challengers. Yeah. Tell me about Challengers. Number 2.
So,
wow.
It's high up. I you know what, for this movie, I've seen when it came out, there's a lot of buzz, but it kind of like withered away a little bit. I don't see as much talk about this movie now, however many months later.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't been seeing too much about it either. Yeah,
and I feel like you are an example of someone who watched it, appreciated it, didn't think much of it after. Another friend of ours, Jose, watched it, didn't care for it at all. Even another friend of ours, Noah, he saw it, didn't care for it.
He liked it. I haven't talked to him about it. But.
I think he's like, it's okay, which is fine. I understand that, but
I don't
when
agree.
we talk about, what was that? Sorry?
I don't agree. I think this is a good movie for sure. Like unquestionably, I think this is a good movie.
Yeah, I think what stuck out to me most with this movie, when we talk about like an energy a movie has.
Woo! No denying. No denying.
Yeah, this movie has like a tempo and a pace, and this movie has so much life to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
This movie has so much energy to it that when I walked out of the theater, I was still like exhilarated. I was like, wow, I still feel it. It feels fantastic.
Yeah, I gotta go fucking crash into something. Like
exactly. Yeah. I also like. I think the movie looks great. I love the setting, the environments, the aristocratic kind of snobby Yale kids and everything. You know, I dig it. The love trio. Also, the structure of the movie.
Amazing. Yeah.
Non-linear jumping back and forth. It feels like I've said this before, like kind of like a tennis match. It kind of jumps back and forth. You think someone is doing good, and then it cuts to this, and you realize, oh, they actually aren't doing as good.
That's so cool.
Or you thought this person's great, it's not as great, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, like your reference to it feeling like a tennis match, like which is totally intentional, right? That is so cool though. Like thematically, you tie in the structure and the editing to the narrative. Like that is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, I really like it. Good time.
Great
the
music.
Colors and the palettes and everything are a vibe. I dig it. If someone doesn't like this movie as much, I understand. I think the marketing of this movie
was predatory to say the least. Yeah. They're like, come see the threesome.
There's this one out of like watching this movie will get you pregnant.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's
you'll walk out of this movie rock solid.
exactly.
This is the threesome movie with Zendaya, and you're like, okay, what's happening?
I don't think it helped because
what's weird.
Even with some of our friends, they walked in with certain expectations, and maybe the romance elements didn't quite match up to what was being advertised. I guess not to say, oh, they wanted the movie to be more horny.
It was very horny, first of all.
But maybe they expected like more, I guess, dramatic consequences or dramatic tethers between the characters, if that makes sense.
I thought that people were gonna be killed in this movie. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like
I think you said that too. You expected like higher consequences or whatever.
I'm can I tell you, I'm so glad that did not happen. Like I'm very very happy that I thought it was no, we're gonna fight over this girl and this tennis match. There's money on the line. I'm gonna fucking kill him in his hotel room. Like, I thought that's what was gonna happen.
I'm gonna poison him before the match so he loses the middle and dies.
He shits himself like on the court and keels over. Like I was afraid that it was gonna go there, but it doesn't. Which, by the way, this movie, I don't know the history of the script or the story or what. This movie, if I don't know any better, in my current position right now, is a ripoff of like the Andy Samberg HBO special. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I have not seen it.
Dude, it is beat for beat the same thing. Like
I'll watch it right after this.
I think you can, if you go on Letterboxd, I'm sure one of the top reviews is like Challengers ripped this movie off. Like it's and it came out like 10 years ago. It's crazy how similar it is. Like it's very very crazy. Oh, it's hilarious. It's like 40 minutes. It's short.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes, it's not a full length movie. It's like 40 minutes. Yeah. It's hilarious. It is juvenile to say the least. Absolutely. But they share a lot.
And for Challengers too, I've heard people say that it should have been shorter. I think Paul Schrader himself said, "Oh, this would have been great as a 90-minute movie."
How long was it? I forget.
I think like 2 hours on the dot, which isn't long,
I don't know.
I could totally a little over 2 hours actually. I could see that. I know on my second watch, there's like this little chunk, this little arc that I could totally see just being cut out without much of a consequence for the rest of the movie. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they included it for a very specific reason I'm just not seeing. But still, banger. I enjoyed it. Fun, good times.
Yeah, and I guess there's one aspect of the movie that I find really intriguing because some people are like, is this like a homoerotic movie or not? And you know what, dude? It might be. It
Fuck
might
yeah.
be. It might be because initially I was like, no, they're two dudes who are fighting over this one girl. But now that I think about it, it's like, are those two dudes like just trying to sleep with the same girl to get back at each other? Like, like it's just like weird, like just weird little love triangle going on.
Yeah.
And everybody is getting something out of it. It's very, very cool. But in hindsight, it's strange because I gave this movie a glowing review. Like I gave it like 4 stars, maybe 4.5. Like I quite liked it, but for some odd reason, like it kind of lost steam throughout the year, and maybe, as I said earlier, like taking root in my brain, it ironically did not take root in my brain, despite me really liking it. I had that same thing with like Late Night with the Devil. When I first saw Late Night with the Devil, I was like, dude, that's going in my top 10 100%. There's no way it doesn't. And now it's like, I think it's like my 20th honorable mention. Like it's like at the bottom. It's the same thing. It's like I forgot about it within like a couple weeks. I was like, oh yeah, what happened? I forget.
Yeah.
And that's not a disservice to this movie because it does slap. Like I know it slaps. I remember loving it in the moment. And I got to give it a rewatch. I do. I need to give it a rewatch because, like you said, it does have like this frenetic pace and energy to it that is not common, I guess, nowadays. There's movies that try to be fast paced and try to be energetic and trying to be crazy. That this movie does really well and kind of effortlessly, to be honest with you. But yeah, pretty good. And so my question to you is, how does this stack up to the rest of the director's movies?
I think it's up there. I really like Call Me by Your Name. I really like Suspiria. Bones and All, pretty good.
Troubled film.
It's I would like to watch that one again. But my gut reaction, I think this is like pretty high up there with his work. I would like to see Queer. I've heard mixed things on Queer. Some of my friends have saw, and they're like, it's not as good as his other stuff.
Same, yeah. That's about what I've heard as well.
Yeah, but I still think that currently my top 3 from him are what I've said: Challengers, Call Me by Your Name, and Suspiria. And I think all 3 of them, I think you should watch. Good times.
And even Bones and All is like, that's a movie that I would recommend. It's a little.
I'd probably even watch it again.
I would totally watch it again. Yeah, it's totally like it's pretty watchable. It's not like some like, oh, this movie is fucking boring and this sucks. Like, not at all. I think it's pretty watchable.
Yeah.
I mean, that opening scene is like, oh my god, this is horrible. I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah.
But
anyways,
I guess that leaves us to the final movie. Your number
Pretty
one
much,
and my number 2. We already went over my number 1. And like I said earlier, someone broke into my house right now, gun to my head. What's the best movie of 2024? I would say The Brutalist. I would not say Longlegs, despite my personal bias.
Wait, can you say The Brutalist one more time and then the edit cue the music?
The Brutalist. No, cut like to the overture.
That's all I want.
Speaking of which, I guess maybe a little. You know what? We can bring it up during The Brutalist. I want to talk about the soundtrack and the score. But yeah, your number 1, The Brutalist, and my number 2. Talk to me. Talk to me about this banger of a movie. Talk to me.
So I drove pretty far to see this movie.
Yeah,
yeah,
you did.
I might or might not have drove like 6 hours to see this movie, maybe or maybe not.
Which, by the way, is, I don't want to call you crazy, but it is kind of crazy.
A little, yeah. Well, I came over also because it was a special day as well. Outside of the movie. But this was like part of the reason. I'm not gonna lie, because also I had like such a small release too.
Yeah.
Such a small.
It's going wider this week. Like I think it's wide right now in my theaters, like in my area.
Yeah, I just saw a Deadline article like 2 or 3 days ago saying, with how good this movie is doing with its limited screenings, that they're extending it, which is pretty cool.
Deserves it, 100%.
Pretty cool, yeah. So yeah, my first encounter with this movie, I was watching, I think the Cannes film list, like what movies are going up on the Cannes Film Festival. I was hoping for a Terrence Malick movie. It did not make it. I guess it's coming out next year or this upcoming year then. I was bummed. But I was reading article after article. Everyone kept talking about, there's a movie, The Brutalist. Everyone's hyped about this movie. Everyone says it's amazing. And I was like, wait, what is this? And I read the synopsis. I'm like, hey, that sounds pretty cool. And the more I heard about it, the more hyped I was. I feel like it was on me. I was building up my own hype for this. I
Oh,
think I
you were the
overhyped this
champion
movie.
of this movie for sure. Because
Yeah,
I'll be honest,
yeah.
I saw the trailer and I heard it was good, and I kept hearing about how good it was. But I think having you like constantly talking about it and hyping it, no, but like in a good way, like you're being like this champion for this movie. Like, get ready, it's coming. The Brutalist is fucking coming. It's coming. And then it finally came out, and I was like, that is the shit. Like that was worth the wait. Like all the hype, it was totally worth it.
Yeah, and it feels like so the real life reality of this movie, as well as like the context of the story within it, I think is pretty universal. The struggle of making art, the struggle of coming to a new place and trying to make something of your own, and experiencing the harsh realities of that. I think that's pretty universal. I think even the core elements of like the romance and the drama in this movie are pretty good. And I think if the core drama, the core romance of this movie did not work, I think it would have really dampened the rest of the experience.
Like Oppenheimer.
Sure,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
I think the core. We should draw that comparison later. I'll bring that back up again. But I think the core of this movie works. The drama, guy coming to America, he wants his wife with him. It works. It's very good. And this movie definitely takes big swings. One, it's over 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Two, it's talking about certain subjects of like history and art and fascism and such. And I think in a way that I think is pretty seamless. Although there are times when people have said this about this director a number of times, even with his 2 previous movies that I still want to see. People have said that his reach doesn't match his grasp. He tries to swing big, doesn't always land big. I can see that. Specifically, everyone talks about the latter half, or more specifically, the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Yes.
I think that is a prime example of, okay, he isn't quite hitting that well here. Still, though, I'm still thinking about this movie. It's been over a week now, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still thinking about it. I think it captures America in a pretty good way. It's harkening back to again like the '60s big epics, which I could definitely see what he's trying to do. And I think for the most part he succeeds. And I think again the movie's it's wearing its intent on its sleeve. You have the talentless money and the moneyless talent bumping heads to make this big project. And the meaning of that project means something different to all parties involved as well. That's another thing that comes up again and again. And I feel that some people might not be as hyped about the core story of a guy coming to America, because you have seen it before.
Sure.
And the movie says it. I think the opening quote of the movie is from Goethe or something. The guy who wrote Dr. Faustus, which is a story about a guy who makes a deal with the devil and yada yada for power and fame. That's what the movie's about.
For sure. Yeah. That's Guy Pearce. I mean,
yeah, pretty much. And again, if you are not into the core of the movie, which is the drama of making this thing about the struggle of art and trying to find your place in America and the romance element, then the rest of it might not work for you. But it did for me. And I think the way it commented on, again, politics and history, pretty seamless, not too heavy-handed. Maybe for some people it is, but again, I think it all worked together pretty good. And the sound goes hard. Love the music.
The soundtrack. I was combing through the list just to talk about the soundtrack for a second. I was combing through the list of movies, and I was thinking about all the music that we got throughout this year. And for one, I think Sasquatch Sunset is pretty up there, to be honest with you. I think the score for that movie is actually amazing. It's been a while since I've seen it. Thank you. And but yeah, it's really good. I think it's my number 2 spot for best score because Brutalist exists. Like I think the score for the Brutalist goes so fucking hard. When
Can you say the Brutalist one more time? They just played the music.
Every time. That theme is so good that even
it's so simple. It's just it's 4 notes.
Extremely simple, but it's so good that people who have not even watched the movie are humming it. Like I played it around Arturo. Arturo is now humming it and singing it. I played it around Rose, my girlfriend. She's now humming it. She's like, I can't believe that I'm humming this fucking theme to a movie I haven't even seen.
Yeah,
I don't even know anything about this movie, but that theme goes so hard that you can't help but hum it. Like it's stuck in your brain.
Yeah. It gives a sense of scale to the movie as well.
Oh my! Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second. First of all, this movie. Well, big picture, really quickly. For a lot of I guess more casual audiences, they would think a 3 hour and 25-minute movie, yuck. You know what I mean? Yuck. Why would I watch that? It's too long. I can see the appeal, but why would I watch it? It's too fucking big. It's too long. But truly, there are some movies where I guess if we talk about a 90-minute movie, for example, there are some 90-minute movies that go by so quickly and some that feel forever, and there are some 3-hour movies that go by like that, and there are some that will not you can't wait for it to end. You're like, please free me from this hell that I'm in. That was me with Wicked. And I'm kidding. I didn't hate Wicked that much, but I felt it. I was this movie needs to end. I need to get out of here. I am not that way with The Brutalist. I truly and I know maybe you said there's a couple moments here and there that felt like it dragged. No joke for me. I don't know if there was a minute of this movie that dragged for me. Shockingly, it is so long, but every moment I was like, fuck yeah. I'm glad this is in the movie. It's adding to it all. I don't think any moment took away from anything. I think the length was not an issue because the acting and the direction, everything was so excellent. Yeah. And like you said about the epicness of the score, how in the fuck is this movie what it is? It feels so epic in scale, so huge, and to think about how small, quote unquote small, the production is, comparatively, is mind-boggling. This movie feels so huge in scope, but it was made for $9 million, less than $10 million.
Yeah, I've even heard 6 being thrown around.
That's no joke. I'm not fucking around. I don't know how that's possible. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense.
Pretty wild, yeah. I know they worked in a country with really low wages.
Sure.
I think in Hungary. Some people, I think you brought it up, some people just did the movie for free. Or for a very lower rate than usual because they believed in the project. Which again...
That's awesome.
Again, the production of the movie matches, I feel the story of the movie. 100%. I think, is it shot in Hungary?
I'm sure a lot of it was, yeah. I don't know about all of it.
And the main character's Hungarian, yeah. I mean, you can see that as an honorable, I guess paying honor to a place, or you can see that as irony.
I don't know. Exploiting it a little, maybe.
Yeah, you can see it.
I don't see it that way, but maybe, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Philadelphia and Hungary. Yeah.
Oh, so they did film it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know Poor Things was shot there as well. I think more and more movies are being made there.
In Hungary specifically? Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that. But yeah, good movie. I would like to see how it stands in the coming weeks and months.
It will.
Because part of me thinks that some people said the movie's trying too hard.
I disagree.
It's trying too hard to be an epic. It's trying too hard to capture the, I guess, old American tradition and
whatever, I guess, but no.
Which I can see, and I'll be interested in seeing what the response is to this movie the more people watch it. As well as for myself. Will it stick with me in the coming months?
Is it already fading? Because it's not for me.
I'm talking with some friends who also like it. That's also a cool thing. Some of my friends who are also kind of art snobs who have seen it are also liking it. Although, of course, with caveats. They have some critiques with it. Which I agree with. I think their critiques stand. But I'll also be interested in seeing what the rest of the people think of this movie. Because, again, it's being marketed as, I guess, a boutique, whatever you want to call it, kind of art house film for the art house people. You know what I mean? And intuitively, my heart says, oh, the core of this movie is a drama romance. That's what the core of the movie is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of people will like it. I feel like that's... most people could enjoy that. I think it's something universal in this movie that I think people like. But is that the reality? If most people watch it, if most people who are willing to endure a 3.5-hour movie when they sit down and watch it, will they actually watch it? We'll see.
That's a good way to think about it, because I think if you take your eyes off of it and look at your phone for even like a couple minutes, like throughout the movie, I don't know. I can see a lot of people doing that. It'd be a disservice to the movie, but
even when we were watching it,
my
there's the
God.
intermission, which is fantastic. Thank you, intermission.
Great score for the intermission.
Yeah. When you walked out of the theater for the intermission, you've heard some people say, "Oh, it didn't need to be that long."
Oh my God, there were some people talking shit.
Oh,
Yeah, where we went to this place called what was it, the Enzian Theater?
Yeah, they
around
serve
here.
food and stuff, which is nice.
Yeah, so,
Not for everyone, maybe interruptions, but it is,
sure, yeah. But it's I guess to quick side note tangent. I'm not really a fan of theaters that serve food, to be honest with you. If you're gonna do it, do it before the fucking movie. It really bothers me when I'm watching a movie, especially in this movie. There's some fucked up shit happening, and then there's a lady delivering burgers next to me, and I'm like, this feels wrong. This truly is about America. Like everything that's happening is like.
I tried ordering food outside the theater, but they're like, "Oh no, we'll give it to you in the middle of it." I'm like,
okay, yeah." And then they do, and it's like, all right, this is. And
Cool,
then also, there was a couple in front of me who was like, this guy was like hitting his fucking dab pen in the theater, and then like, and every once in a while he would like turn to his girlfriend, they just start making out in the middle, and where we were seated, we were the second row from the screen, so I like kind of had to. Lay back and look up at the screen.
Reminds me of Seinfeld, that bit about like making out during Schindler's List.
I don't know. No, I don't know about it. I'm not much.
Because that also kind of matches the vibe of this movie. It's like, oh, it's pretty serious.
Oh yes.
And then there's fucking people macking in the front.
And it's like the silhouette of these two heads just smacking lips in front of me, watching this movie, watching Adrian Brody like cry. This is weird. But and not to say that the movie's too serious. Like it's not like a drag. Like there's.
It made the whole audience laugh like a good few times.
Yeah, well, I want to say like throughout it there were some good laughs. Obviously, and I think it takes a more serious tone in the second half. But
for sure.
It's no, there's brevity here. There's laughs to be had. There's some happiness to be had here. It's not just a drag the whole time. Yes, it's serious and somber, maybe more often than not. But it's good, and I really want this movie to do well. I really, really do. I remember when I was talking about it. This, what were you saying about like, this movie is trying too hard? So people are saying it's trying too hard. And again, this is gonna sound corny, but in the movie, the main character says something along the lines of like, "What speaks more for itself than the construction, or what says more about a cube than its own construction?" And that line, by the way, banger. And then it makes you think of this movie. It's like the movie speaks for itself. For me, like is it a 3-hour bodacious movie? Like yes, but if you actually sit down and watch it and give it the time of day, and really engage with it, I think the movie does speak for itself. It's like this is a great time, and it's talking about a lot of important things and personal things, for anybody who creates anything, I think. And it's admirable. And I don't know, it's tricky because we've talked about this before. Anybody who like really has like that strong passion for like the arts, at one point or another, will get tossed the pretentious allegation. It's inevitable. It happens. I don't know if I felt like this movie was pretentious though, so much as it was just like real, I guess. Like
everything around this movie feels like passionate. The whole thing is passionate. Like you could tell the characters are passionate about what they're doing and the struggle. Like, and it even bleeds into the movie and the experience itself. Like you wouldn't do a 3.5-hour movie unless you're passionate about it.
Exactly.
Especially with the quality of it.
Exactly.
You wouldn't do it if you didn't love it for the game. Especially for, again, the artists that are going through it. Like, do you think, while watching it, do you think the main character would be going through that shit and enduring it if he didn't love it?
No, if he wasn't a fucking gamer, absolutely not. They're like, it's funny, just like the movie I heard about Brady Corbet, I think he wasn't paid for a large like some of the production of this movie. Like he was just like not being paid. Granted, not everybody's that fortunate to have years of no pay.
Sure,
He's probably doing well, and he was able to survive off of that. But it's admirable to think like, hey, I'm making this movie for free. Basically, this is a passion project. Like I'm just fucking gaming. Same thing in the movie. There's a part in the movie where he builds a certain thing, and he's not paid for it right away, and it's like, and he was like, fuck it, like whatever, I fuck it. But
I'll keep going.
Exactly, fuck it. Like at least I was able to express myself, and I was able to get it out, and that's like, dude, that's fucking rad. Okay, that's fucking rad. It's awesome. And I don't know. I think if you were to call this movie pretentious, I would say look inward. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'm jerking it off a little bit, but
yeah.
I think it deserves it. I think it's a special movie, and I would like to see it do well. I know we talked about Oppenheimer a couple minutes ago, and I can't help but draw comparisons between the two of these movies. It does feel very much in the same lane and or ballpark as an Oppenheimer at what it's trying to achieve. Only this movie just does it a lot more eloquently, in my opinion, and a lot more interesting, I guess. Like, I don't want to shit on Oppenheimer. I still think Oppenheimer's a good movie. But I think this movie is taking bigger swings and is more personal with its main characters. There's a lot more character. Ironically, they're both character pieces, but I feel like there's a lot more character in this movie than there is in Oppenheimer. And what does it say? The saying, it's about the journey, not about the destination, and how there's some qualms here and there about whether or not that is the case. And it felt like, for me, Oppenheimer was so infatuated with the destination, like the whole movie's about the bomb, the coming bomb, it's so infatuated with like, should we or shouldn't we do this bomb? Like, oh my God, the destination is so scary. Like, this is gonna get crazy, and it is, and that's what the movie's about. But it didn't feel as wrapped up in the journey as much as I would have liked. Versus this movie is very much about that. It's a lot of like trying to get shit done, trying to do something crazy, and all the setbacks and all the personal shit going on, and it's great, man. I don't know. It's pretty fucking good, dude. It's the best movie of the year, probably. Yeah, I'll consider.
Yeah. Any final comments? Well, your number one, you've already commented on Longlegs.
Yeah. Final comments about the list. Final comments about 2024.
Pretty good year.
It was a good year for movies. Yeah.
Good year, man. It was a good year.
And it's tricky because if this movie doesn't do well, The Brutalist, I'll be a little bummed. I would be a little bummed, to be honest with you, because I feel like with movies like The Substance and Longlegs, and I guess in A Violent Nature in some ways, because it's getting a sequel, it did well enough. And Nosferatu, I would like these smaller movies to make a comeback, man. I think it shows that you could have some spectacle, and some like legitimately riveting shit on a much smaller scale and or budget. Still crazy to me this movie was made for like $9 million. And then I think about Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's like the most expensive movie that's ever been made this year, and it's hideous. So it's like I don't know what's going on, with the industry, but I hope this movie prevails. I think it deserves it. And I'd like to see more people watch it. I really would. This is a movie that like I would love to like. I'm excited to watch it with Rose. She's not a big movie person at all, but I'm excited to watch it with her and talk about it with her because I feel like this is a movie that you can watch even with like average audience goers, just like Oppenheimer. I'm shocked by the amount of casual audience members that went to go watch Oppenheimer. Genuinely, like I get the whole Oppenheimer thing. I get it, and it's Christopher Nolan, but the kind of movie that it is, I'm shocked. So many people sat there. I'm shocked it almost made $1 billion. Genuinely shocked. And I feel like this movie is way more digestible, just because it's maybe that's not correct, but I think it is. It's a lot more watchable for me. I think there's a lot more going on, a lot more character stuff. I don't know, banger, and good year for movies. Yeah, I guess that's it. Those are my closing thoughts, at least. But I want to talk about one last thing, and that is, as of the day of recording this, the passing of David Lynch. I kind of want to talk about that just a little bit. In that, as someone who was very harsh on David Lynch is his filmography. For the longest time, longest time, I really, truly despised his line of work. I'll be very upfront about it. I despised it. I was like, this is like just weird for the sake of weird. Like, this sucks. I hate it. As I've gotten older and as I've watched more and more media, and appreciated more and more about like what an artist is trying to do, and their way of expressing themselves and just being people. People are weird and people do different things, and some people like more things than others. Whatever. I've grown to really appreciate his stuff, and it's a little bit unfortunate that I finally got into his stuff, towards his passing, I guess, within the last year, really. And it's unfortunate. I think he was making a TV show, or there was rumblings that he was going to make another season of Twin Peaks or something, or a movie. I guess we'll never know, but yeah, it's, I don't know.
Real shame.
Yeah. Any thoughts about that? I don't know. I just wanted to bring it up because it's we were recording
no,
it
it just happened.
Yeah,
just this afternoon. It was on the news.
It just happened. Yeah.
My phone blew up. I think New York Times.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's fucking everywhere. Yeah.
First, I remember I had a similar reaction. I remember in high school I watched Blue Velvet, and I didn't get it. It felt his works feel so intertwined with dreams, but his own dreams, that it felt difficult for me to like connect with it. But then I watched Mulholland Drive, and I was like, oh, never mind. I get it. And I rewatched his work from Elephant Man onward, and I think I rewatched Blue Velvet with you. I was like, oh my god, this is so much better on the rewatch. Now that I'm older and experiencing it, very good. And I've been taking, just the other day we were hanging out together and we watched Eraserhead. Beautiful. That his most like immersive movie, I think, probably, and as his first feature.
Dude, it's again, like, just having more of an appreciation for I guess filmmaking, for cinema, if you will. Seeing what the fuck he did in that movie for the first movie is nuts, man. That is a crazy movie to start off with. That is extremely admirable and crazy. It's just crazy. And how old was he? I don't remember. He put that out in his 30s or something.
Something like that. He was making it for like 5 years. Around his 30s is when it was done.
That's legit, and I can see his stuff not being for everybody. There's no question about that. But yeah, we one of these days I'd like to just go through his filmography a little bit, and maybe talk about it. Again, you still need to watch Twin Peaks. I'm sorry.
True.
And we still got to watch this movie, Fire Walk with Me, which debatably his darkest movie. Like, that movie is horrific. I'm shocked because the show is pretty bad, but it doesn't go to the places that the movie does. And you're like, whoa, David Lynch, you are a sicko. You're a weird dude, David Lynch. But yeah, rest in power. Rest in power, David
Rest in
Lynch.
power, bro.
Yeah. And I guess we'll leave it on that note. Yeah, happy 2025. We'll see what happens. I guess we'll do this again next year. We'll see.
There you go.
But all right.
Alrighty. Peace. I gotta go eat.
Peace.